My name is Simon Williams. I'm the director of the British Council here in Ukraine. If you're flighting, if you're wondering, I had an argument with a taxi in London at the weekend, which is why I look like this, and it looks a lot worse than it feels, so don't worry about me. That's why. Anyway, welcome today. We're really happy to welcome you to the Selector Forum, which is organised in partnership by the British Council with the Music Export Ukraine Agency, and also with the support of the Polish Institute here in Kyiv. Selector Pro is part of the British Council's music programme in Ukraine and around the world. It aims at developing connections, collaborations and dialogue between different music professionals in Ukraine and the UK and other countries. This is the third time we've run it here in Ukraine, with the first two Selector Pro Forums taking place in 2017. And they looked at themes such as the distribution and sale of music in the digital era and music technology, and also experiments at the junction of music and other art forms, a crossover between music and other art forms. In this third forum, here in 2020, we decided to extend the geographical focus to explore opportunities in the wider markets of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. And the focus of the 2020 forum is on how to develop and grow a sustainable live event business, and how to tap into, how to connect with the potential of the neighbouring music markets. To discuss the challenges and possible solutions, and then to exchange existing experience, we brought 20 promoters, agents and cultural managers from 10 countries: from Albania, Azerbaijan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Ukraine, the UK and Uzbekistan. And they're all here today. They're all wearing badges, so go along and say hello to them and find out where they're from. Thanks also to the Polish Institute, as we said, who have also invited experts from Poland who are going to give us an amazing case study about Katowice, the UNESCO City of Music, and how that initiative developed. You'll find out about that later on. On the part of the British Council, we'd like to thank Music Export Ukraine, in particular Aliona Dmuchowska and Dacia Tarkowska, for being our brilliant partners in Selector Pro, and also for helping us find this amazing venue. It's my first time in it. It's a great place to be doing this event today. We hope you enjoy today's event. Please do take the opportunity both to listen to the expert contribution, but also to feed in your own experience, and also to network and say hello. And have a great afternoon. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, another really short greeting words. Hello everybody, you probably already know at this point that my name is Dacia Tarkowska. Together with my colleague Aliona, we're representing Music Export Ukraine, and we're overexcited to see you all guys at Selector Pro Forum. To be honest, we have plenty of things to discuss today, and the majority of these topics are going to be connected with live industry in a way. So we're going to discuss the magical triangle of agent, promoter, and artist. Then we're also going to discuss some local specifics of markets of Central Asia and Western Balkans. We're going to discuss the specifics of grassroots venues and whether this kind of format of venues will be able to survive in the future. I'm also really excited to figure out some more details on the success story of Katowice, the city of music. And lastly, but definitely that's not the least point, we're going to discover some wonderful opportunities that some of you might get a benefit from the Creative Europe, Ukrainian Cultural Foundation, of course, House of Europe. So, we got plenty of things to discuss, and hopefully you'll find out something really interesting. You'll find some new acquaintances, some people to talk to. So without further ado, let's jump into the conversation. Let me introduce Lera, coming over. Lera Chichibara from Radio Aristocrats. Let's continue the conversation on the triangle. I really like this part.
Thank you, Dacia. My name is Valerie Chichibaya. I'm dealing with the radio station, first digital radio station in Ukraine, Aristocrats. and now we do a musical award advice. If you do have some spare time between the panel discussions, I would appreciate if you go to advice.com.ua and choose your personal best musical album, Ukrainian, in the previous year. I would appreciate you if you do. Now I'm delighted to talk on a topic which I am not actually. I'm nothing. I'm zero. You know, in this particular topic, I am not promoter. I am not booker. I am not artist. I'm manager. That is why I will try to jump into this discussion with you, and to catch the most interesting thing we may put down going through this discussion. And these places are for the speakers. If you will please have them. It's Rick Morton, please. Booking agency, Blow Up Live. It's Hanna Shokbova. I suppose you've written a perfect article of Anna Bukovska on the room with Hanna. It's interesting interview, and it's.
I will step in. It's John. Yeah, unfortunately, Rebecca didn't manage to come due to family reasons, so she says apologies to the audience. And yeah, I'd like to introduce John Dunn. Thank you for agreeing to join this panel discussion. And John Dunn is promoter from the UK, and he manages the company called Parallel Lines.
Yeah, it's better maybe to count a few names from your perfect company. You currently promote exclusively in London. John does this Arcade Fire, The Jungle, Glass Animals, National. How's your heart is beating more and more? Yeah. So thank you for joining us. And you, Hanna, you deal with a booking agency, Yes, thank you. And you're dealing with artists such as MIA, 20 Mola. No? No? Okay, let's not read these busy cards and jump into discussion. We are dealing, guys, with the triangle, quite interesting topic, I suppose, with the triangle booker, agent, and artist, right? And we've got 40 minutes to understand how this triangle works. We've got a plan to leave 10 or 15 minutes for your Q&A session, so please be connected all the time. But to jump into the discussion, if you don't mind, let's start with a list of duties of all these three functional roles. First, with the functional duties of promoter, agent, and artist.
As a promoter, my duty is to make sure that I'm bringing that into a venue which I think I can sell out, which I think is a good seller for the market, and to make sure that we can guarantee that production works and lighting works, and tickets get sold, and we do a deal with the agent, and sometimes the manager if there's an agent on board. And just really trying to mirror what the artist is trying to, where they're trying to get to. I see as more as a facilitator, recognizing their strategy and creating the perception that they want, as well as just going down the road, just selling some tickets. So we will be involved with that kind of conversation. If it's a new band, obviously we want to put them into a venue which we know we can sell out because we need that momentum at the very beginning. If it's a bigger band coming back, maybe we need to go back a little bit, come forward. We don't know if the fan base is still there sometimes in a big way. But our role is fundamentally for that one show maybe, or for that one tour. We're talking with agents, and agents will be looking at the bigger picture in terms of them doing the tours around the world.
it was the role of promoter.
So I guess both me and Rick do the same role, so we'll split discussing what we do. But the role of an agent is to predominantly play the part as a middleman or woman between your client, which is the artist, and the buyer, which is predominantly a promoter. And it's our job to ensure that we fill the diaries of our clients with shows, which can be anything from club shows to live shows, tours, festivals, and so forth. And we must ensure that all of those things run correctly, so we'll negotiate the fee for those shows, we'll contract them, we will work on every element to do set times, to artwork, to production, to everything, and similarly to a promoter to ensure that we are working alongside our artists and achieving what they want to achieve, as well as growing with an artist, so looking at building their career by building their shows, whether that's by capacity or levels and billing and so forth. So that's what we do.
Thank you, Hannah.
I think we also, as an agent, I describe it as really sort of in charge of the live strategy, because we all know that records and traditional means of income for artists is dwindling, so artists don't sell as many records as they once did. So a lot more they're relying upon live for source of income. So artists want a long career, so we're quite an important member of the team, with planning the strategy. We're here in a minute, we want to get to here. How do we get there? What are the steps to get to that point? So I think we're quite an important member of the team now, and I think the most successful artists have their agent as a really key member of the team, and we're as important, or hopefully as important as the manager is, and we're influential in the decisions that are made. We can have quite a good influence.
Thank you. Strategies, diaries, all this stuff, business. Okay, before we go to I've got an idea. If we try to show each other how the movement in this triangle should be working, not like in real, but should be. But before we go into that point, I ask you to determine with one sentence what's the purpose, the main purpose for your function. Like the main purpose dealing with the artist or promoter and so on. If you don't.
In one sentence.
You want, okay, let it be, I don't know, three points.
We are responsible for finding live opportunities for our artists.
Okay, that's good. Please.
Jeez, you went before me, so it's more difficult. Repeat it, what have I got to do? Put it in one sentence, what I do. Jeez,
The main purpose of your function.
the main purpose is to fill the diary of your artist with successful and profitable shows.
Again, thank you.
Our main purpose, I think, is to understand expectation, and as I said before, to recognise where the actor needs to get to and wants to get to, and try and get them to that. But also, I think there's another difference in this journey between promoters and agents, and it's early in the day, so I don't really want to say we don't need promoters, don't need agents, and vice versa, we work together on things. But there's also an understanding that I think agents we're much more cautious as a promoter, and sometimes agents are more optimistic as agents. So it's that finding that middle line where we're going to play. So expectation.
Okay, thank you. Let's moderate the situation in which you are dealing with your role, but how the movement of this process should be started. Because we are dealing with a quite emerging market, Ukrainian music market. It's young, it's just first steps doing. For us, it's quite difficult. Sorry, I'm speaking from all of us. You have the opportunity in Q&A to add something. But for us, it's quite difficult sometimes to do the first steps and to do them right, correct, because you've not always got the chance to do again and again those first steps. So I am trying to involve you in that game with our triangle as a promoter, agent, and booking. How should it be working in a perfect world?
Um,
Who goes first?
I think who goes first largely depends on who finds that band players. It's for, I can only speak on a London market, and the London agent scene is very, very competitive. So as a promoter, you essentially work as an A&R person at the very beginning. You're trying to find an act before anyone else does. We try to get shows on sale sometimes before they have managers and agents. And there's a reason for that, because if we can get in there before a manager and an agent gets in there, we can do a good job of that. By the time the manager or agent comes along, we already have a relationship with the band. Whereas if we wait, if we're waiting for an agent to call us and offer us a band, there's another 30 promoters in London also doing the same thing. So it depends on who comes first in terms of where that role starts. But from my perspective, we try to get in there early as a promoter, make the relationship with the artist or the manager, maybe then an agent will come on board. And maybe at that point, an agent has a much stronger overview of where the act wants to go, and it's not just now the promoter and the manager talking. So at that point, our role kind of slightly changes. We're no longer heading it up. We're now working, you might say, for an agent, with an agent, depending on the relationship. And we kind of take a slightly more backward step, and the agent becomes much more prevalent.
Thank you. So now I see clearly connection between promoter and an agent, right? So the energy starts off there. How it goes on.
So
we're trying to moderate the situation in which these triangles are working. Is it ideal?
Okay, well, the dream kind of like, for me personally, when it comes to having that triangle relationship between a manager and a promoter, which is rare but can be achievable, is, for me, it's all about communication and being on the same page. So, as John was saying earlier, managing expectations is a really important thing for me. And it's good, you know, we have a lot of panel meetings with people and kind of working ahead and ensuring that you both believe in your artist, believe in what you want to achieve with them. Like, it's very crucial that a promoter and an agent get on in that retrospect, because when you don't, and if that falls apart, then it just becomes a negative situation. So the dream and ideal way that a triangle will work is through having fluid conversations and communications, ensuring that you're on the same page, and working to better your client's career, which is essentially because a promoter and an agent is working for the artist. Although a relationship might start first, or you might discover them first, at the end of the day, you are being paid via that artist, so you have a duty to them. So it's really important that you get on.
Yeah, okay. And talking about booking, you're ready to talk from.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think it's, I like to choose the right promoter for the right act. And we all want the band to grow and be successful, so I like to try and build a long-term relationship with the promoter on that particular act, and also bringing that promoter in and making them feel like they're part of the team. Alright, they're not being directly employed by the act, but make them feel part of the team, because John might be promoting, I don't know, 50 shows in a month. It's quite, sometimes some shows can get maybe forgotten about, but if they're part of the team, and I think the personal relationship can help the promoter go the extra mile to sell the tickets, rather than maybe take their eye off that particular show, perhaps, if they feel part of the team and welcome, and it's a good relationship. So yeah, I think the agent-promoter relationships are really important.
Are we talking about reputation of this promoter?
Reputation, yeah, it's very important, but for me, it's putting the right promoter with the right act. I know a lot of agents will just give, they've got certain promoter friends who they give all the acts to, but I don't think that's particularly of much benefit to the act. I think you need the right promoter for the right act.
Is that true that for booking agency or for booking manager, the main purpose the main approach to make the decision whether I'm going to work with this artist or not is the statement that the booker should collect people. You're talking about, quite humanitarian things, good relationships and so on and so forth, but YouTube talks about main idea to collect people when we are trying to arrange an event. Is that true, Tim?
When you say
collect people and to have good bars and everyone drinks and we are making money, you know, that's what I was thinking your business about.
I think that should come at the end really. I think it's do the hard work first, earn some success and achieve, and then we have a drink at the end when the show's all that. Do the hard work first and foremost, have something to celebrate.
Okay, I'll go back to my question. What is the best approach you use at work to make the decision whether you will work with this artist or this promoter or not?
Well, there's lots of different reasons when you start a relationship, a working relationship with someone. I think, again, it depends on the agent. It's down to your taste and your roster, depending on the genre of music. Yeah, there's kind of a lot of answers to that question, isn't there? It's a bit of a complex one. I think in terms of my personal strategy of when I want to work with someone, it's definitely, this sounds mad cheesy, but it is down to the music output for me and whether that works with the rest of my roster. So yeah, that's kind of how I go around things. What would you say?
I think each act is different. I think my roster is quite broad, so I've got artists who, like neoclassical artists, who I'm not going to put with a punk rock promoter. I think certain promoters do certain genres of music really well, and I sort of know in my head which promoters in which territories are the right fit for any particular act. So, yeah, it has to make sense, really. Sometimes you promoters promoting acts that just don't fit amongst everything else that they're promoting, and you think, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here? It's clearly the agent and the promoter are friends, but the act looks out of place in amongst the other shows that promoter's doing. So I think it's, having the right promoter is really important.
I think it's ultimately the agent and the manager. The promoter will a lot of promoters will take any act if they think it's gonna make some money. That's 90% of promoters in London, if they think it's going to be huge. But of course they want to get on the bandwagon. Of course they want to get maybe some money later on. But I think there's a 10, 15, 20% there people promoters who, if you look at their rosters, it's very in one particular genre. It may not be a huge mainstream pop thing, and that's if you pick up an act that ultimately that fits that promoter's roster, and it looks great on their flyer with all the other acts, their database is the same, then you need to go with that promoter. But other things come into play, and there's other situations that happen when you pick up a new band and it's done 200 tickets in London. And let's take an example for someone like War on Drugs. David War on Drugs, great band, developed really slowly in London, and then really started to pick up. So they were with a very small kind of indie promoter because it was the right promoter for War on Drugs at that time. They've grown, they've changed agents. And now they're worth 10,000 tickets in London. So that particular promoter wasn't pushed away when they got to that size. But another promoter was brought in to work with this smaller promoter as a co-promotion, because the first promoter, there's no way that they had that expertise, that finance even, to even take that band to that level. So I think another discussion which actually comes on board with an agent picking their promoter is if it's very clear that an act's going to do very well and you're working with a very, very small promoter, sometimes I think the agent thinks actually, well, at some point, I'm probably going to have to get rid of this promoter because they haven't got the expertise. So sometimes they will just move straight over to another promoter. And then the other things that come into play is ultimately your band wants festivals. The manager's going to be like onto you guys saying, I want this festival, this festival, this festival. And your promoter, again, speaking only for London, I don't do any festivals in London. I can't offer any festivals to anyone. But there's a load of promoters who can get you on all the major festivals in London. So you'll be thinking that too. You'll be thinking, well, actually, maybe this is my promoter because long term I need them to be playing in front of 50,000 people in Hyde Park or something, and this promoter does this, but each does small shows too. There's a lot of thinking around kind of who you should go with. Sometimes, as I said, I try and get in early with the band, and I build a bit of a connection with the band, and the agent comes on board. And the agent, maybe I don't work so much with that agent, but at that particular point, the agent may not want to work with me, but almost is forced to an extent because I've now built a relationship with the band. So there's lots of different factors as to who moves with who, and maybe management contacts as well if you build some contacts there.
Thank you. Let's suppose that an artist got a project, a product, whatever we call it. He or she got streams, and he or she is already the best in its town, in its place. How to do the big movement closer to the festival in Europe or something big? How to do efficiently that move from something small to something ambitious? How the strategy should be built in this situation for the artist to see the results quite fast, not to lose the opportunity. Because it's quite difficult in Ukraine, to be frank, it's quite difficult in Ukraine even to do the product. I mean, the album, the video, YouTube channel, whatever. It's quite difficult here to do the streams on YouTube because it's all about financing, it's all about team and so on and so forth. So when artists are ready with the product, do streamings and got the aim to do big step, what would you suggest artists to do?
I think it to a certain extent comes naturally. I mean, to take the example of the band who I had performing last night, The Comet Is Coming, I had an 18-month plan from the moment I first heard the album when it was just finished. I sat with the manager, we listened to it, this is brilliant. And it was really clear to put a plan together. We want to end this campaign here. To get there, we have to do this, these festivals, these venues, to end up here. And the music was so strong, it was always going to happen because the band's got a certain image, they're of the moment right now, and it just felt natural. So to make the step from this amount of tickets in London to this amount of tickets in London looked like it felt good, and it felt like it was going to happen because I believed so much in the band and the music that they were making is so great. It just felt like naturally that would happen. So we got there relatively easily because there's a good team in place, the band made some incredible music, the management did their job really well, I helped in my side of it, so yeah, that felt like a natural one.
That is a story of success, isn't it? But it's not always like that, isn't it?
I mean, in terms of, if you ask me a question in terms of kind of how you would, as an artist, progress your career and kind of put yourselves in different territories to be booked, is that kind of that? Okay. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I could give in that respect would be definitely delving into popular cultures in other countries and looking at maybe platforms that are working well, like say for instance with one of my artists, Hat Baker, who's a very UK centralised artist. We have Colours, which is a platform in Germany which does amazing acoustic videos, and he got an opportunity to go on there, which was where we paid for him to go. It wasn't like a money opportunity, it was just about developing him in another country that he wasn't really that well known in. So by doing things like that and stepping out of your regions, that can really help get you the slots on festivals, because off the back of that, I then sent that to Mel, which is a huge promoter in Germany. They tapped onto him, we had a meeting, another promoter in Germany. So it is all about trying to see what is popular in other countries and putting yourselves out there in those sort of situations, because it does help, and that might be, the kind of era of blogs and stuff have kind of gone at the moment. I think that videos and online presence, particularly if you're a live music artist, like acoustic performances, are really noticeable to other promoters in different countries. So that's one of the things I would say is good to do.
Let's imagine, just 5 minutes and we're going to review again. Let's imagine that you did some proper things and you got through the borders and you are invited to some European music festival. How to prepare
How to prepare?
when you're from Ukraine, for example?
I mean,
Emerging market.
how do you prepare as an artist or as
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I'm sorry, not only as an artist,
Mm.
because I suppose the team will be
Yeah.
bigger. Yeah. So how to prepare generally?
I mean, you've really got to focus on doing a great performance, but not over pressurizing yourself. Like ensuring that you're checking every element of those bookings, because a lot of the time people want to do shows and just take them for the sake of it, particularly when it's in another country. But you might be billed on the wrong stage at the wrong set time. You might be placed in between musical genres that don't suit you. So be sure to go through every detail and just do the best performance that you possibly can. Also ensure that your manager or agent is hitting up fellow promoters in that region to come and watch that performance.
That region.
Yeah, like, so if you go and play like a festival, say for instance you went off and played a festival in the UK, and that festival was like, I don't know, Lovebox or something, and you were playing one of the smaller stages, then it would be really useful to kind of tap up other leading, promoters who are there in the UK to go and watch you perform, because that will propel you into a situation where you will then be seen by other people, go out and booked on other shows. Does that make sense? Yeah? So that would be something that I would say is a crucial thing to do. And yeah, but just do a good performance and enjoy it, because, as much as that sounds really enough to say, but it's important to not lose sight of actually focusing on the music and doing a good job.
I think also though from a band's perspective is do a bit of research about where you're going. Even little things like learning a little bit of the language and to say thank you from the stage and to show that you're enjoying performing to this new audience. And I think the gig last night, the boys seemed to really enjoy it. It was the first time playing in the UK. They looked like they were having a lot of fun and they felt the sort of love from the audience, and I think that's really important when you're trying to build a career in a new territory.
I think there's another answer for this is sometimes it's not to maybe take that festival for that year if you've been offered it. There's a number of festivals in each market, and sometimes it's just clearly not the right time for you to be doing that particular festival, because as a festival booker you don't really want to be repeating your bills year upon year. So if maybe if you're a new band and you're going to a festival for the first time, there's a good chance that unless you really have a really fast rise, you probably won't play that same festival the following year, because the booker won't want you to have you 2 years running. So it's maybe sometimes saying, actually we're not going to do, we've been offered Melt or Latitude, whatever, or Primavera this year, but actually we're not ready, and maybe this cycle of releases and how I see this working out, we can hold off this year because we're going to be much stronger next year. We'll get a better position on the bill. But if we do it this year, we probably won't get the offer next year. So sometimes it's a time to say no as well.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Hannah. And thank you, Vic,
Thank you.
for answering my questions. Sorry if it's too mad. Now it's your time, your opportunity to ask the questions.
Let's share the mic. If you guys have any questions, just raise your hands.
Thank you for sharing your experience. So maybe when we talk about this trend, so there is one element which is combined all together. This is the audience, people that actually going to live shows or buying music, etc. So this is something, let's say, the client that we are working for altogether. So and thinking about from Ukraine perspective, which is like foreign country, what are the possibilities for European markets? So because it's, to be realistic, it's hard to build this momentum when you are outside of the country. But generally, is there any possibilities, like just because you are from some interesting place and you have some interesting flavor, but you don't have opportunity to build your name, like in through long-term efforts. So maybe any ideas, what are the possibilities for this?
Are you referring to Ukrainian artists?
Ukrainian artists, compared to you connecting with the European music market.
I think what's really important is things like Eurosonic Festival in Groningen, there's the Great Escape, these sort of showcase festivals I know there's the Ukrainian actor Alona playing in Groningen 2-3 weeks ago, and there was a real buzz on that act, and it's a great way to put that artist in front of industry from all over the world, and I know that act did really, really well, and a lot of my British friends said they were at the show and loved it. So I think those sort of networking events and showcase events are really, really important for international acts getting in front of other promoters from other territories. So I think they're really good. If you can get onto those, they're a really helpful way of achieving.
I was trying to think what I was going to say. I think another thing which is quite good as well for, I would say for Ukrainian artists, if you want to go, let's say for instance, over to the UK, would be to look at other acts that work within your genre as well, about team-ups and doing like collabs with other artists, which is probably quite a generic thing to say, but it is hugely important because it can break you into an audience that might not have heard of you or your music before, and it also enables you to kind of maybe become a part of a genre. Not saying that you should change genres ever, but you know, you can do good team ups. Like there's a lot of grime acts that we look after that might, I don't know, say for instance have a remix done with, actually weirdly, yeah, that was it. Like I remember when Wiley did a track with like Dusky, and I was like, what the? Do you know what I mean? But it worked, and that was like, that's an example of now maybe teaming up with different things, and I think that could work. Yeah.
I think the possibilities maybe can feel remote, but I think it's a changing market, and I think it has been for a number of years really. For the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. I think again, I can only speak from a UK perspective, but in terms of if I look back to the nationality of acts that I was maybe booking 10 years ago, it's played UK, American, Australia, maybe Scandinavia, and now it's much more further spread. And I think that's mainly because radio in England is playing much more diversity. I think that if I go to, from an A&R perspective, I find a lot of my stuff on blogs, and it may be Pitchfork, Stereogum, Fader, Liner Best Fit, and every day there's new acts on there. And first and foremost, it's do we like it or not, and then it's like, okay, it's this person and they're from this country, okay, we can make contact with them and they can come, we can get them over. You know, a week ago I found this girl called Creams who comes from Tbilisi, and you know nothing about her. Wrote her, and I think we're going to sort something for October. She's going to come over. Purely because we like it, it fits what we do. We will put it on the flyer. We will invite press. We'll invite some radio. We can get a bit of a buzz going just by being alongside some of the acts that we do. We can give it a bit of a star. We can't move the goalposts for her. She's not going to be a huge star because we put it on our flyer. But we can certainly open up some of those doors for other people. And if one person comes from radio and another one comes from I don't know, TV or whatever, or PR or whatever, and feels the same way, suddenly you've got a team of 3 or 4, and then maybe a manager, and then an agent. And we've got 5 or 6 people. And now we've got a bit of a campaign, and it's like, actually, that's possible. So it's in answer to your question, it is, I think, becoming, it may seem really difficult, but I think the steps are actually a little bit easier in terms of the ability for promoters, agents, and managers to find you. But it's got to be good. It's got to be good too. You know, that's the number one thing. It's got to stand out. It's not really about where so much it's from, or it's got to just be good. So.
Any other questions? Yep. Coming next year.
I want to put up a question about organization of events. For example, you want, I know just a little bit of history. I was dancing in this hall. I know that this hall was built by my friend, and this friend worked on builder oligarch. And this builder oligarch gave money to build this hall. I was here dancing all the night, And also my friend built a lot of places, like dance hall, for example, he built a Congress Hall named Kyiv. It is situated on the bank of the river Kyiv. I think all the people know this place, Kyiv place, where people organize overnight parties, overnight dance parties. And I wonder how these people find you, for example. I know that they invite a lot of foreign musicians to perform here. I wonder how they find you. Do they call to British Council and ask directly, we want to have such and such people here to organize parties for us? How you find these beautiful halls, or how do you have some contacts? Do you put these contacts to some hubs, information hubs? How you contact, for example, you are a beautiful artist, a nice artist, you have a good voice, you have a good music, and how you promote, for example, your concerts in Ukraine, for example, how you contact these rich people?
That was a good question, wasn't it? I don't know which one to answer first. That's all right. But basically, I think the first answer to your first question I'll probably do is how we find venues, if that's correct, if you're answering that one. The way that within our company that we work is that we have a whole database system that we do through every country that we book in, and we have a selection of venues that we range from the larger cap venues for our huge artists down to the more intimate, very rare venues that we love to find. And the way that we actively go and find those is just by delving into different countries' press, kind of going through blogs. We will do research trips and travel out to places, word of mouth, looking at other similar artists that we like. For example, like one of the things that we did was a tour which we went across like lots of intimate churches that only fit, I think it was 100 people and under, and then we put one of our artists in there, and we just did that by literally Google. I mean, it sounds pretty general, but yeah, you just got to research and get your head done. I love that you were dancing here, by the way. That's sick. Big ups, yeah, like that.
I guess for me, to sort of follow on from what you said, I'm quite interested in venues. So whenever I see another artist playing in a venue in a city that I've never heard of, I'm instantly trying to research and find out as much about that venue as possible. So yeah, it's just being switched on and keeping your radar up and trying to stay on top of what's new and what's happening. I think that's an important role of an agent. You have to know where the cool venues are in any particular city at any time. Venues are hot 1 minute and then there's a new one, and you need to be on top of those because you want your acts playing in places that are really happening. So it's your duty to stay aware of what's popping in which city, I guess. About all my contact details are really easy to find on the internet, so call me or send an email me.
Rick's gonna let us know. No, but definitely just email. Like that's one of the things. Like we have an info account at our agency that we have people monitoring every day, and we go through every email. So definitely, if you want to put forward a venue and suggest anything, then I wouldn't say it's never a bad thing to just approach people. Send through the venue specs, send through previous artists that have played there, let people know the costings of that venue.
Just send some pictures. I mean,
yeah.
those presentations yesterday when you can visualise a venue, it was gold.
I think as a promoter, we're always looking for new venues, and we're always hit with the conversation, the agent call, and the artist coming back, and maybe there's a theme to the album. Maybe the album's called Swimming, so it's like, let's do the show in a swimming pool. That's a really great idea. Now I have to go and find a swimming pool, so I kind of like Google swimming pool and 1,000 swimming pools come up, and it's like, I'm doing this because I know they're going to ask me a day later, what have I found out about swimming pools? And in my head I'm like, there's no way I can put a show in a swimming pool, but the artist wants it. So quite often we're looking for new venues, and you find these amazing places and you think, oh, it's going to be fantastic, but then you start down the road, you've got to put a stage in, you've got to put PA, lights in, oh, and then the venue, they have a noise limiter, oh, and then they can only service these people between these hours, or you hit all these kind of red lights all the time, so it can get very tricky, and sometimes you then just fall back into a venue where you go in, the PA's there, everyone knows what they're doing, it's open every day of the week. So there's that kind of fine line between the two. I did a show with a band called The Garden, and we did it in a garden, and we got literally, we started to get shut down by the police. There was 300 people there, and I was on the front door talking to the police, and knew the band were in 25 minutes, and I knew they were to their set. And I held up the police long enough for the band to stop. So, but it's a really good example of sometimes trying to find unique spaces, but actually in reality, sometimes you can't keep that dream alive and they just don't work.
Yeah, I believe we have a final question. Let's keep it really short and simple.
I actually have two.
Oh no, let's have
Okay.
fun.
So I choose one which is, in my opinion, is more important for audience here. We now have Eurovision summer final today, actually, and all artists who take part in this year Eurovision, they heard that your song is good, but your English is not. And a lot of people tell, probably it's not a big deal if national artists would sing in international stages in original languages. What do you think? The new artists, the old artists from non-English or French speaking countries or German-speaking countries would sing in national languages, or they should invest in good English to have an audience from abroad, from the festivals and international scenes.
I think me personally, sing whatever language you want, but like obviously like that's just me personally. So I'm not really probably equipped to answer in terms of what the Eurovision Song Contest people like. But I will ask my colleague because I think he's going to be a judge, and I'm not even joking. yeah. But yeah, I think sing in what language you want to sing because it's your song and your music. But they might have rules. I don't know. Who do you guys want to answer this one?
For me, if it sounds good, I'm going to be into it. I do think that there's maybe more broadly, there's still a bit of maybe a hang-up. So I think, unfortunately, I think to achieve overseas success, it may be better to be singing in English. But not that I agree with that, but I think that's probably true if you want commercial success. Sadly. If it's bad English, it depends. I think it depends. But then there's a lot of native English bands who sing in bad English. So
I was just going to say, one of my clients who's English sings with like one of the most severe East London accents. So like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. But I think it's a different world maybe than probably what I'm experiencing. So maybe do some research online and find out what programs are successful before you do. Do you have anything to say?
I think it also depends on what's your aim. If you want to be a big pop Eurovision sort of act, then yes, probably invest in some English lessons. But if you want to be a sort of cool underground artist, who cares? Music, sing your own language.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. John.
And I have four wonderful guests who will help me figure out the details. So we have Ruslan from Kazakhstan, Ashok from Uzbekistan, social professionals from Iran, and Ermir from Albania. So let's give them a round of applause. The funny thing is that the moment I met you guys, I was super fascinated because for me, you're like Swiss Army knife. You can do pretty much anything. Like, for example, Ruslan represents one of the indie communities. For example, you have like around 20 people involved, 20 artists involved supporting the local scene. Ashok is representing rock festival and is more into like multidisciplinary performing arts. Marcel runs his own music conference. Erwin has an event agency. So you guys trying to nail the artistic career at the same time. So there's like a lot of things are happening in our markets. Yet still, many of us don't know anything about each other. And I think it's really unfair and it's time to change that. So basically, I will start with a very simple and plain questions just to give the audience some context. Let's probably start with music genres. What are the most popular music genres you have in your countries, or like specific ones that are really, really like remarkable in terms of your country?
Hi everyone.
Yeah.
About Kazakhstan. Now situation for last 3 years is changing in a good way for me because new generation is interested in modern music, independent music. The situation that majority of music market pop industry, locally speaking pop musicians, and everything is around corporative parties, so music for private parties.
So that's some sort of cooperative, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But now it's changing, as I said before, because new generation needs growing. Myself working with independent, modern experimental music.
Hello. First of all, I think it's very important to know the context of our countries and our region. Central Asia is kind of isolated from entire world by our policy and our just a geographical situation, and that's why it's very difficult to say what kind of music we like, because like in the past, like 7-10 years before, as I told like yesterday, there was a TV program, and where respectable people from Uzbek elite was talking about rock music, that rock music is evil, that rock music is kind of harmful, it harms your brain, it has very bad influence on the young generation, and it was on the main city channel.
How come you ended up playing in a rock band?
This is interesting, and then it Scorpions comes to Tashkent, and it's like full, and everyone
Full of evil.
Full, no, it's full of course evil, but it's full of people coming. And it's sold out, and it's very crazy prices for the tickets. It goes like from like $50 to $200-300, and just our wages is about $300 per month. But it's like full concert hall, and people are singing their songs along with them. And I say, well, come on, look at these people, they love rock and roll, they enjoy it, and how can you say for these people that we don't like rock music and it's not in our culture? Because like we have kind of also a lot of jazz festivals which are supported by the government, and the thing is, jazz music is also not a traditional Uzbek music, but it's kind of good to organize the jazz festival, and rock music is kind of not good. I don't know why. So yes, this is first point. The second point is we still got this system of license.
Ooh, hold on. I
Oh,
would love to.
okay,
discuss
sorry,
this.
it will be a long
Yeah.
talk. So yeah. So
But I'm
yes.
looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
first of all, I just want to say that we have totally different context of the music scene, of the arts, and all the things, which is like normal for you here, because before coming to the conference, I got this lot of questions by email, and I was like, no, it's not about us, no, it's not about us, and what should I say about it, because the context is totally different, and we can't use it. I don't have an answer about ticket sales or how many people will come to my concert, because I don't know if I can do the concert.
Okay, so that's why I'm not asking you about this at this point.
Yes.
So, but like, the main idea is, like, music genres really specific. Some of them is dictated by the government at some point, but rock and jazz is still quite a thing, although like battling with the government.
Not exactly with the government, but with the imagination of how it must be, how the culture must be, because it's a bit. We have very good traditional music, which is a part of our culture, and we love it. It's everywhere, but we cannot say this is like the music scene of Uzbekistan. It's just like traditional things. Yeah, sometimes it goes to the big scene, but it's just like this. And as my colleague said, we also have this kind of pop based on for this corporative and for this wedding parties, and this is it. And the musicians can get money only from this, but not from selling their CDs or music or the big concerts.
Okay.
This is a big problem, yes.
Okay, let's probably finish up the other part with music genres. Mirso, do you have any vision on that?
I forgot the question.
We're still talking about it. That's okay. We're still talking about music genres, if you may.
Okay, basically, I think we need to define where today we are listening music. So basically, different music is listened to public events, in the car, and YouTube, because in the Balkans, currently YouTube trending is more based to the reggaeton, turbo folk, this kind of idiotic music that's currently globally like infecting people, because like we are very fast now to be followers, you know, so we can really fast dig into something. Before we had some kind of statement during the Yugoslavian period, there was a base on the rock and punk music. So with the 90s, the Eurodance like era hit us. So that's how we like become like fast adaptable to the new music genres. But for example, currently people want to party like with hip hop. It's coming back. So with this kind of base, somehow always mainstream produces inspiration for underground and opposites. So it's always tricky thing, because a lot of underground musicians inspired something that will become mainstream. So it's always some kind of a different way there. But my opinion is, if you do good videos, it's possible that your style will become trending, because we have a lot of music, but those people don't make videos inspiring for your generation. So your generation get inspired with the success guys with the cars, girls, and stuff like that, because they want to be driven by that. So the music is like just side thing of it.
So they're selling like lifestyle instead of
because
music
in the
band
new
stuff.
culture, I think people more look at the music than to listen. You listen to your music in the car, you listen to your music where you are focused. But on the events, you want that lifestyle. I want to be bigger, harder. Everything is based on this kind of superficiation of personality. Everyone is a brand, everyone has its own like Instagram account, everyone has a statement. So basically, I think that it's very in the moment when we define like type of music. So today it's something, but tomorrow if someone do a good promotion, it can switch that thing. It's very like temporary.
Okay. Peter, since you're like in electronic music, do you agree about the lifestyle and fancy
Yes.
things?
Yes, in Albania is the same too, because here in Albania we are addicted to social media, to YouTube channel, and the music is good or not good is about the clicks. How many numbers do you have? And if you have a lot of numbers there, oh, you are modern, you are good. And if you don't have any numbers, so you have a big problem and you don't have to sing. Marcel said exactly the same here in Albania, because it's not important the music, but it's important the video clips, the girls, the yachts, the plane, and the lifestyle with the guys with
Suit and tie?
yeah.
Wow.
And it became like a viral. When you do a spot like a viral, you will be successful and you are famous. So this is our music there.
Okay, so it's good to know that it's all really connected with visuals. That's a good point. And now that you mentioned that it's all about numbers, so what would be the best way to promote music in Albania? Is it all about social media?
Of course, social media, influencers there are very powerful.
What do you mean by influencers? What do they do?
We have some influencers, some good influencers there that are so popular, and then they do brand marketing with products. For example, if he has a watch, it's good, okay, I can buy it. These influencers are even in the music, the same influencers in the music, because they are so many, the model, the model to follow. He is the model and I have to follow, and if he is right, I can do, yes, I'm modern, and I have to do yes, like this.
Okay, got it. So it's all about social media, big numbers, influencers. Let's go in the opposite direction, Marcel. Any thoughts on promotion?
Okay, but well, I had experience a lot of in advertising industry before I went into music. So basically, I think the right kind of promotion now is like just do opposite. Whatever someone is doing, you do opposite, and if you will be like marked very in the beginning. Recently, we did an event with one act. They had 3 outdoor songs, and I invited them to book them. And they said we just have 3 songs. It's duo, like in the electronica. And they said like we don't want to perform. It's just 13 minutes. And I said it doesn't matter. We're gonna promote it. And it was like really successful. 200 people, just 13 minutes. We sell the tickets, but the approach that we did for them is like we treat them from the beginning as stars. They did. We did everything for them, like visual identity, branding campaign, dinner, hotel. Like the full treatment. And somehow, when you treat someone as a star, he becomes a star. So it can be like for 24 hours, but you give them this kind of thing, and they feel it, and they perform really good. They had the confidence, and the whole thing skyrocketed. Like a lot of people were interested in them, and because basically, the booking people wants always to book second act. So when they already someone booked them, nobody wants to book them on the first act. So regarding the promotion, I think any kind of opposite approach is better than to go like this kind of digital, because if you see like 100 events that will happen in next month in Kyiv, you just get like a carpet, carpet of designs and everything, so you don't feel it anymore. If someone gives you a printed card or something that usually nobody is printing anymore, flyers or something like that, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can smell it. If you see that it's harder paper, then you figure out they invest more in that. So like small things can change this kind of approach.
Gosh, I think that's even relatable for Ukraine at some point. So that's
yeah,
very good
and also
point.
visual part. If the country is driven by the colorful design, you do just white design.
Okay.
Because like everyone when wants to put an accent, it puts like the red thing, the yellow thing, you know, like. But in the sea of the red and yellow, the white will pop up. You know, like there's the kind of opposite approach that you can play.
Okay. Ashot, your turn.
Yes.
I'm still wondering about promotions. Any tips and tricks on how to promote music in Uzbekistan?
Yes, it's very interesting because, as I said before, we don't have like kind of the one way to do it right or not. For independent music, it's basically we use our connections and ways. Like for example, we do the posters and these invitation cards, and we put it in the cafes, coffee shops, theaters, and because cultural life in Tashkent, it's a huge city. It's about like 4 or 5 million people. Actually, it's very huge. But the cultural life is very concentrated and kind of small, and people know each other. So we kind of collaborate and try to support each other, and so like theaters and or movie theaters or some other like cultural places, they usually agree to accept our posters, our cards, and things like that. And as my colleague said, the opposite thing is also working. There are a lot of examples of how our law actually worked in opposite way, because the law is kind of, we have this, we will talk about it later more in details, but we have this Uzbek concert, which call themselves Uzbek concert. It must be an organization which have a function of developing music and creative industry, but what they do is just censorship, and they try to control everyone. And so sometimes it's like the video clip which some of Uzbek young performers put on a YouTube, and they say, no, this is very bad, and it's not about our tradition, it's too sexy, it's too provocative and things like that. And then it was, no one knew about this girl who was like singing and doing this, and everyone goes and watch this video to see what is provocative, what is sexy, and what is interesting there.
Hold on, but do they delete this video, or they
No.
simply like?
No,
like
they say, oh, this is very bad, you need to delete it from YouTube, but no one will delete it from YouTube, because, come on, YouTube is...
Forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
Yes. So everyone goes and watched it, and this singer has like 1 million of views just because these guys told not to watch it. Yeah. So sometimes this things also works in a kind of good way.
What a trick! Provoke your government, indeed. Okay, Ruslan.
Situation in Kazakhstan also unique. For example, if you working with artists or projects and you something new, and you want to try to sell it in Kazakhstan, you can use any instruments, because our cultural life also is just starting, just in the beginning. And for example, we work this month and next month. We work with artists. No one knows them, and we understand that it's very unique case how to sell these cases, because, for example, we have space with capacity up to 500, and no one knows this artist. But on the other hand, the situation is that we have nothing, so you just need to be active. First of all, you need to use community and, for example, your friends, your friends who have also influencers, bloggers, because people usually for people it doesn't matter how much advertise you use. For them it must much more important how many people around them talk about this. But you know, it will be interesting. It will be interesting. Oh, okay, I don't know who is it. Maybe I even haven't seen YouTube video with this artist, but I will be there because he thought that it can be interesting. So that's why the situation is unique, and we can try to do anything. But of course, it depends on capacity. If you want to have a concert in the stadium, it's a big risk. First of all, you need to try with little venues, small venues. But if you talk about other instruments, of course, first of all, it's Instagram, the most popular social network in Kazakhstan. Instagram.
Oh, you know what? Sorry. Just before the conference, I asked you to send me some of the references in terms of like really cool underground music, and he was like, I'm afraid there's like not that much music on YouTube performed by Kazakhstan artists. Can I send you Instagram link instead? I was like, how come? Like, is it like Instagram more popular in Kazakhstan than YouTube?
Still yes, but because YouTube, you can't earn money on YouTube much, because it just it's talk about market, about YouTube, not much sponsors. But now the situation is changing because, of course, like the whole world, Kazakhstan also is on the way.
Also, like
Hold on, use the mic if you want to talk.
I think for some time the YouTube was even blocked in our region.
Okay.
Yes, it was blocked, and we had to use the VPN or something to watch the videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Including those that were
Yes,
recommended by the government. Okay.
We had the situation.
Children.
We had the situation until.
It's working. Yeah.
We had the situation until the
Is it?
July.
Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Let's switch.
So yeah, we had a situation because of political situation in Kazakhstan that, for example, even YouTube was blocked, Instagram was blocked, but now it changed. I want to believe that it will not be the same situation again. So as I said, YouTube is developing, and about this case. Yes, it's a big mistake that artists don't even understand how important YouTube is now. First of all, if you want, for me, for last maybe year, whenever I go, or for example, if I talk with some specialists in music from other countries, first of all, they asking about YouTube. Majority of artists from Kazakhstan don't even use it. But now it's changing because some sponsors go to YouTube, local sponsors from Kazakhstan. So it depends on if you can earn money there. Now it's changing, but still Instagram is the most important, the most popular, yes, social media.
Okay, makes sense. Well, I think we've been discussing over and over plenty of specific things already. However, I would like to emphasize it once more. I don't like to call it a problem. Let's call it a challenge. So what kind of challenges would you specify in terms of your music industry? Like, for example, for Ukraine, I believe music piracy, unfortunately, is still quite a thing, like lack of good music venues, things like that. What kind of challenges for your countries would you highlight?
Basically, depends on the level of evolution of crowd and society and the country where it's happening. We are not still EU, so we are proud non-EU citizens in Russia. So this kind of thing regarding programming it leaves us like to 90% of music that we are importing. We are in lack of the exporting music. But generally, we don't blame the government, nobody. We get used to just do our things by ourselves. So we just prepare the new strategies and channel it. We live in a digital era that's possible to overthrow any kind of influence, first virtually, then in the real life. So basically, the importing music is like too big issue for us because we spend too much money on it, and we are in lack of the expert. Second thing definitely is the lack of venues also, but we get also somehow hack that kind of thing with this kind of temporary locations, with converting locations that are not intended to be an events and so on. But generally, I think in this digital era we can't complain on anything. You know, like a person with a laptop and 2 speakers can do anything in this world. You know, like you can channel it, you can promote, target 30 plus people in Zurich in the mountains with your solo or float or whatever. So I think. Did we finish? We need to cover the focus on hope. So I think this kind of era where we live, it's allowing for everyone, if we use it properly. 90% of people just surfing all day long.
Kittens and beams
Yeah,
on the internet.
yes. So basically, like we have like the biggest library in the world. You can learn every day a new thing, and you check what's happening, what your neighbor is doing, what your country is saying to you. What we are totally in mess with the different focuses. You can make music, the software simplified everything, the technology simplified everything, it's very cheap. When I started to produce music, the basic setup was 5,000 euro. Now you can have it like for 200 euros.
I like that you're keeping it on the bright side. Like everything is going to be fine.
Well, we come from the environment, you know, like where we win a lot of struggles. So like every challenge that's coming, we know that's like temporary. So, and if we don't solve it very fast, the second one is coming. So there's no much time to blah 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 blah. Rather, it's very important to be effective, and if we can solve that, we figure out, for example, in Bosnia, our surrounding neighbors are like developing 7 or 8 times stronger, bigger. So, for example, Croatia is very strong with the festival seaside. Albania is becoming very, very big. You know, like they have like 4 festivals now. They didn't have like 3 years ago nothing, but now they have. Serbia is big also with the Exit Festival and stuff. So we are thinking about the position of Bosnia because it's in the middle ground. We don't want to compete then with the festivals. Rather, we can become like a middle ground for the businesses of all those festivals. So we come blank canvas with locations. We have 15 fortresses. We have great mountains. So basically, it's important to government, to country, to people, to musicians, to figure out where they are, what's their advantage, and then what are their neighbors in need and how they can interact with it. Because we can't compete. If we want like to send our DJs to play in Germany, minimal techno that they produced, why are they gonna book us?
Makes sense.
So that's the thing.
Okay, let's check up on our venue.
In my country, big challenge is because the industry, the technology. Because the technology is high level, everyone here in this room can be a singer. Everyone here in this room can be a very good, famous musician. Because if you read something with the technology, you can do a singer. So this is a big challenge here. The music industry is focused on visual advertising, that is YouTube, that is spots, video clips, and something like this, and not in the music, the kind of music that, hey, this is good, or this is a good compositor, this is a good singer, good voice, and the government must sponsor or must do something that the real artist promotes himself, and not the other artists that are not artists be successful. This is the main challenge I think that is nowadays.
Okay, got it. Ashwat, let's try to scratch the surface.
Yes. So you need to stop me because I can talk about the challenges all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, because alternative music in Uzbekistan is the challenge.
Okay.
Already.
That's the proper answer, Ruslan.
So first of all, we can start from the lack of professionals, and because all the sound engineers and the crew should be on the concert cannot do the high-level concert because they work at these wedding parties, and the wedding party is just a laptop and some people pretending to sing, because I've seen on one of the wedding parties the bass guitar jacked into the electric guitar.
Okay.
Straight.
Nothing strange
without
happening here.
Yeah. And unfortunately, when you think that, okay, this is like first festival goes not very good, but second must be better because you have the experience. It doesn't work like this. We don't learn on our mistakes, and the second festival would be the same from the zero. You go from the zero with the same problems with the amplifier, the same problems with the tickets, and things like that. I have a case. Once we were invited to the rock festival, and then I also played in the band. And then when I appeared on the stage on the sound check, we sound checked our guitars and things like that, and there was no the mic stand on the stage. And I said, so how will I sing? And they said me, well, our singers sing in a microphone, holding the microphone. And I said, no, I have a guitar and I play the guitar, and I cannot at the same time like hold the microphone and play the guitar. They said, okay, we'll do something. And then I went out, and when I came back, it was the full club of audience, and they didn't find the mic stand, of course, and they nailed what is the word? The broom, the sweeping stick.
Okay.
Straight to they nailed it straight to the stage, and wrapped it with a tape. So I had to sing a whole concert.
You did?
Into yes, of course. What can you do? Of course. So I was like, I have the photo.
Do you have a photo?
I have somewhere photo, yes. I was the one who is singing in the sweeping stick. So and yesterday I was showing the photograph of my friend guitarist. They made a performance not pretending, but with the makeup of the Joker, of the movie Joker. And then when they were coming back to their homes in the metro, and the police like surrounded them, and he was like standing and surrounded by the police, because it was like very uncommon to see the man
Joker
in
in the
Joker makeup in the metro for the police. But the most difficult challenge is that we still have the system of license. The concert system, all the concerts are licensed. So you need to get license to perform, whatever the concert is, whatever you get money from this or not. So if you have more than 100 people gathered together, you need to get license, which are quite expensive. But I don't mind paying money for this. It's expensive, but still, you need to give all your texts to the people who are there, to the what is Soviet, the committee, of the.
Let's say the Russian. I think.
Yeah, censorship committee. Let's say that.
То есть комитет по цензуре.
Комитет по цензуре, который себя считает ну, как бы, комитетом по духовности. Ну, по морали, да. И как бы, yeah, sorry. And then it goes like, why do you use this word? What did you mean? What's kind of, because like in alternative music you cannot be just straight, just think about love or about mother or about love to your mother or whatever. So like I got the big problems with in the lyrics, which was like такая нежная, как брови Брежнева, and they wanted me to explain what did I meant.
Okay, so what did you mean?
I meant what I meant. So, but it's impossible.
I accept this answer.
It's impossible to argue. It's impossible to argue. So, and like automatically you become a criminal. So you don't have a right to perform because you don't have a license. But sometimes.
There's still an echo.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, but sometimes they want to show that we are open to the world music and things like that. And then it goes like the World Music Festival or Flower Festival, and they ask to play the same songs. But as soon as it's not a rock festival, it doesn't called rock festival. It's called the Festival of Flowers. It's fine to do the same music.
Okay, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop you on this one. Ruslan, in case you forgot the question, we're still discussing the challenges of the market. Maybe you have anything to add.
The main one for Kazakhstan, for Kazakhstan and the Central Asia region, we're too far from worldwide stage, and for example, that's a problem for promoters in Kazakhstan. If you want to book someone, it's too expensive to pay for the road, for the flights, and the same for artists from Kazakhstan, because if anyone wants to be a part of any showcases, because we have a lot of young emerging artists, very interesting emerging artists from Kazakhstan, but they can't go anywhere because it's too far, and no showcase festivals in Europe, for example, that will pay for the road, of course. But that's why we need to work with some institutes like British Council and Goethe Institute. That's the only way how to work in cultural sector in Kazakhstan, because we don't have any support from government or local business, because audience too small and they are not interested in it. And also the problem of audience, that how we can solve this problem, collaboration in the region of Central Asia and Caucasus. That's the way I see, and now we're making first steps. This year we will have some collaboration between Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan, but that's the way how we can do something, because we're too far from the worldwide stage, as I said before. Other challenges, for example, of course, a lack of specialists in music, sound engineers. We were talking about any big festivals in Kazakhstan. Usually, professionals are from other countries.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, and lack of venues for music. We have lots of opportunities. For example, me myself working with DIY music, we do concerts anywhere. But if you want to work with big concerts, you have a big challenge how to make your music sound, and you need to find special venue. That's a problem. And we still have only 2 cities where you can do concerts: Astana, capital city, and Almaty. And also a big challenge for us to solve the problem of not only two centers in a big country.
Okay, makes sense. Do we have time for questions? Probably for one. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, we have one over there. Pass the mic. Yep. And yeah, just press it and hold it. That's
yeah. It's worse. Yeah, it's worse. You guys from Balkan countries, which is like pretty close to Ukrainian culture, and I believe that Ukrainian artists, especially rock artists, would find a place at your stages. You guys, what would Ukrainian new rock musician do to have a good promotion, to have a good press in your countries? Will your audience like take our evil, our national evil, and would like our joint history a bit advantage? I don't know, understanding language or more or less the same music school or something. Would it be like a bit plus for new Ukrainian artists, new Ukrainian music?
Kazakhstan's audience very interested in new Ukrainian music. It's very popular. For example, Yuka and last case was with Yuka. Ivan Doron, of course, this one, and we had some collaborations between Ukraine and Kazakhstan cooperations. So. But if we're talking not about big artists, if we're talking about emerging artists from Ukraine, you just need more, as much promo material as it can be, as possible, yes, and we can do it because audience is ready, audience is interested in Ukrainian music.
Yes, there is a big interest in the Ukrainian bands. As example, I bring just in last year a band from Zaporozhye called it's a small theater festival called Ilhom Rock Fest. Ilhom means inspiration, based on independent theater. It's not very big, but still it exists very good and works very good. So I bring the band from Zaporozhye called Немного Нервно. I don't know, are they very popular or not, but that's what. But it was like sold out, and people like them very much, and they come back again. And we were speaking also, I'm a very good friend with the Ukrainian ambassador in Uzbekistan, and we were talking about bringing the Okean Elzy to Uzbekistan. It didn't work. I don't know why, because the last thing I've heard that the Vakarchuk said that we're ready to come because also we have a very big Ukrainian community. I myself is like 25% Ukrainian, and we really like this music. But yeah, he said like, okay, we will come even without the money, but you need to organize it, and it was like difficult on the level of the government somehow. I don't know. Well, but according to your question, yes, we are really interested in it, and people want to hear a lot of new music.
So that sounds like potentially yes. Moving up next.
No. So basically, we need to divide the strategy between the bands, because you book 5, 7, 8 people, multiply with airplane tickets, multiply with stuff. So it's much harder than to book the DJs and stuff like that. We recently booked like Miss Monique from Ukraine. She did like a great gig, and we were interested now to invite the Grabs, the hip hop thing. The thing for us is like for band strategy needs to be very well planned. So, for example, through all Balkans, you can drive by van in 10 to 15 days. So band should arrive somewhere with the plane and then plan the tour 20 to 30 days while they are in that area, and then come back with the plane again. So it needs to be more strategic approach, and then it needs to be initiative from the side of the band. Regarding the speaking barriers, languages, and so on, we live in a time, like we mentioned before, and also related to our song question. It's more dedicated and honest when it's on the native language, and you can express more emotion. It doesn't matter that people don't understand. They have apps now for translation. They can check the lyrics. They don't need to repeat. For the band, we live in the era where people can sense the vibe. So I think it's more important to, we will always book the native language speaking band artist or something rather than the English, German, something that's, yeah, pretending, because like it's not relevant, because like hip hop culture, for example, is something that's defined by your hood, by your specific location around your building. So if you are selling me some kind of LA style that you're not living, it's not relevant. And if it's in English, it doesn't sell. People can feel it. So I think
about the vibe.
it's all about the vibe, and the new generation can perceive it, can receive it, and this kind of hipster movement, Generation X, Y, Z, millennials, whatever, more that they don't understand, it more attracts them. So, and the Ukrainian music industry had a lot of like YouTube short documentaries from Mixmag, from electronic beats, something. So like your quote on the relevance and like this kind of new age thing is very high. But now it's demands, I think, like more strategic approach and more initiative. So to be like valid and everything. I think the whole Europe is ready. But again, the problem that we have also are like airplane tickets, and I'm listening now to him and thinking about it. Like, if we manage to get one airplane company, one hotel chain, to some kind of once in a year to do like free things for the artists from different regions, will like multiply the artist presence in different regions.
We'll see what we can do.
Yes. What is the question?
Yeah. We would love to, actually.
Even in Albania, you can have a good market there, because we can use the sandwich techniques. You know, famous music, famous group, famous, well-known, not so famous, and famous too. This is the techniques. This is the sandwich techniques. In marketing. And in the marketing, this is known, this kind of strategy. And in nightclubs, for example, will be very good. Nightclubs, and people there want to go out and want to express themselves. And when they are artists from abroad, always we are curious and we are so welcome. Oh, well, from Ukraine, so far. Like something like this, you know?
Okay, sounds fantastic. I'm afraid we ran out of time, so no time for any extra questions, but please do join the conversation with these wonderful men. Thank you very much for I'll finish in a few minutes, and then we'll get back to you with another round of discussions.
Others inside the music industry that music venues, small music venues and medium-sized music venues are really important. So I think we both discussed this topic, the importance and the significance for us as a music industry. So we will jump right to the situation with music venues in Ukraine, in Azerbaijan, in UK, and then we will share our experience and probably try to find to maintain more sustainable future for grassroots venues. And right here with me I have Eugene Kyiv from Ukraine, from Head Music Group Concert Agency, who brought to you Comedy is Coming yesterday, who brought to you Ghost Poet, Slaves, Everything, Young Fathers, and a lot of other artists with British Council, and who also brought to you lots of other artists for the past 10 years. Also, we have Netik Ismail from Baku, Azerbaijan, co-founder of In Club, who will tell about himself more later. Also, we have Jane Bees, the head of music at Roundhouse, one of the most known venues in London. And we have John Dunn, promoter from Parallel Lines. You met him before today. Currently, he promotes shows in London for artists like The National, Arcade Fire, St. Vincent's, and way more. Eugene, let's start from you and from the situation in Ukraine with grassroots venues. In your opinion, what's going on with grassroots venues in our country?
Hello, everybody. The problem is, okay, I'm starting with the problem. In Ukraine, there's a problem with the venues. For example, we can take the capital, Kyiv, and we have a couple of venues for like 1,000 capacity. The next one is 5,000. So we don't have nothing in between. So because of that, we can bring like a lot of artists that decline to perform in 5,000 venue capacities, and the 1,000 is too small for them, or when you try to speak with them about 5,000 capacity, they try to raise their fee to this capacity. So they're not speaking about, okay, you will sell like 2,000 tickets. No, we have 5,000 capacity, so we can calculate our fees only with sold out show. So and we don't have transformers venue where we can like divide it the web. The problem is that's a problem. So you can put a drape, of course, but then you will cross out the balcony, and the rest of the venue will do the same. So for I think for 4 years I ran like our own venue in Kyiv, in Times. So we had a lot of artists there, and still, based on economic, you can bring artists. They can be successful. For the venue for 1,000 people capacity deal, because for example in Europe, in UK, you can play with the prices. So here, if the price is higher than for let's say 40 USD or like 35 euro, people will just avoid this concert because it's too much for them, no matter. Okay, there's some exceptions, of course, for big venues, like you can sell tickets for 100 euro for Kiss or Imagine Dragons, but it's like stadium shows. So the highest fee that I remember in a club was 50 euro. I mean for it like standing zone per stage, not for balcony. But it's all the exceptions. The biggest problem is in the outside of the Kyiv, because I'm trying to do tours outside of the Kyiv with like 4 or 5 cities. There are no venues there. So there is like a couple of good venues in Lviv. There are one good venue in Kharkiv that approximate can be good.
You still mean venues for 1,000 people?
At least, yeah. Over 1,000, almost impossible to find if it's not like an old Soviet palace of sport. The roof can fall out, like in Odessa was. For example, Odessa, there are no venues for 1,000 also. So during the summer, there are like 15 clubs where the artists could perform. Like after September and to May, they're almost impossible to do a show in Odessa if it's not like House of Culture, some city fake or something like this. So as soon as at least Kyiv will have like 3,000 capacity venues, that's what we need in the first place, and 20,000 is what we need in the second place. Because we're receiving a lot of offers for the artists, they can gather like 20,000. And if it's not during the summer, it's impossible to have them also. Or we can try to negotiate about booking them for summer, but in that case we like compared with, we had two big festivals in Kyiv, the same day, same time. I myself, I don't like to promote any shows during the summer. For some exceptions, you know them, and so because people not going to the shows during the summer because they go to the festivals or they go to vacations, and so that's why we're not doing shows in Odessa. We tried, but we will have this year we have only one show in Odessa, and it's still a city venue. So like to make good artists to have them in Ukraine, we need to have 5 major cities. These 5 major cities need to have 5 good venues. That's why, in that case, we can have tours. For now, also the big problem with the artists, they don't want to perform like one city in Ukraine. It's a really bad logistics to go here. So like 90% of them need to fly in. So in Europe, they're traveling with the nightliner. The 90% of artists need to fly in, and they're not interested in going to one city only. So that's why sometimes we try to do Lviv combined with Kyiv if they're performing in Poland. But sometimes it's not good. So yeah, so there are 2 problems that I told you. One of them is no venues at all, and second of them, if we do have venues, we don't have venues suitable for some kind of performance for artists.
Can you something to add about smaller venues, smaller than 1,000 capacity?
Yes. So the situation is like a little better, but still in Kyiv there are, I think, only one venue left for about 400 capacity. It's Caribbean Club with a good technical rider, good sound system. Because most of them are like basements. Yeah, and to tell the truth, I can't bring a good artist to some of the venues, so I don't want to. Outside of Kyiv, we have venues for 300 capacity, 400 capacity, but most of them are rock venues. So it's easier with the dance music because you can turn into the venue any kind of the place with a good logistic, with a good technical rider, with good production. But with a live show, it's harder, a lot harder.
Okay, thank you. Najib, next question is for you. Well, how would you describe the situation with grassroots venues and with music venues in general in Azerbaijan?
Hello everyone. Just would like to say that the Baku is the oil-rich city. Like Azerbaijan is one of the main oil importers outside. The small Azerbaijan is one of the main importers of oil worldwide. So we got a lot of glamorous big venues. So if you want to book some artists to this kind of venue, you should pay 10,000 euro just for rent or shitty sound system outside, just sofas, and so it's so bad. And the promoters like me and another one avoid this kind of venues because they don't want to pay a lot of money for the venue. They should put sound system there. So and then so we decided to do our own club from 2015. We built a small club, we call it IN, because we just where are you, I mean. And IN is come from Azerbaijan, IN now currently. And we start to gathering from small venue like 15 people, and in 2019 we do the show from Boiler Room, because Boiler Room is the British Council support for 2,000 people in the club. So from 2015 to 2019 we opened and closed our club 5 times for different reasons.
In different places?
Different places, different clubs. And we moved from 5 different clubs because the neighbor complained. We go to the police department after the police shut down one of our shows. So we didn't think that any venue can be transported for the club. We do every club specifically come to there. We have got a lot of people who stay behind us, doing everything. Like our clubs is totally handmade. You can feel the passion of the people who stay behind you. We don't think too much about the ticketing. We didn't sell tickets at all, so you can buy tickets only in entrance. And we got a very strict door policy because we believe in the light. We believe in the spirit and passion because we want to bring something to new generation, show them that the glamorous and this kind of lifestyle is not the one place where we should go. So, for example, in Baku, they made a lot of big events like Islamic Olympic Games, the Formula One shows every year, and they made big shows for the big audience. But nothing sense with something like a clubbing. If you're coming like this way in the club, they say that no, you unfortunately should wear more classy and probably don't get the face control. If you are coming alone, you should come with a couple, reserve the table, stuff like that. So we are struggling about that, and I'm happy that I hear a lot of things about the ticketing and how the guys trying to push the sales, and I'm happy that we do not need to push the ticketing sales because we are coming from the dust, and now we are the biggest club, and we are one and only place where you can listen non-commercial electronic music, and the people come into the door and we can select them. Not just because it's not suitable or not, just we want to provide a good show with good condition, so we just understand that this guy is not suitable for our club, and maybe our club is not suitable for him. It's kind of
Is it, in your opinion, in Baku, is it possible to be sustainable in terms of economy if you're running music venue?
Yeah, it depends. So, as I said, they close us 5 times, and we are going to open the new one, like 6 months. So it's now we are going to make the second boiler room show with the biggest venue, which the government actually give us for free, because they said, oh, we did a boiler room last year and it was successful. 2,000 people come and we don't need to pay for the advertising. They want to develop the tourism. This is one of the first steps negotiation with the government, because in 2015 they even didn't want to talk to us. So we are just a bunch of people who want to come and leave. But now it's a different state because nothing happened in Baku. If you come to the Baku, you see the beautiful city, beautiful building. But at the night, what do you want to do? You can go to the bar or go to some glamorous club night, karaoke. That's all. So, and this is a big differences between these clubs and the underground club, because we have not any casino or strip club or something like that. We are very strict to the some stereotypes. We are mainly Muslim country, plus.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the British experience, to our guests. And John, actually I will have similar questions for both of you, so we can decide who will start, who will continue. A lot of people used to think about UK as a music utopia because of your impact on world culture and stuff. But the truth is that grassroots venues are struggling in UK also for the last 15 years, from what I've heard, and there are numbers from different articles on the Independent that 40% of music venues were closed between 2007 and 2016, etc. Would you agree with that? And if so, how did it affect your work for you personally?
Yes, I think we have two a kind of parallel situation in that in London, I personally actually think we have too many venues. There's this thing going on in England. It's like we're losing our venues. But every time we see a venue shut down, I then seem to be another one. I'm doing a show in a new one. So I don't really go along with that argument when it comes to London. I think what is happening in London is the same as most cities. Gentrification is those venues that are central in Oxford Street or whatever, they've all disappeared because they've all been sold to whoever, companies to buy, and the venues being pushed out of the city a little bit. So in London, I actually feel we almost have too many venues because I think actually there's just too many shows. There's too many shows. There's 8 million people, but they're not all interested in alternative music. So it's actually, I often think if we just had less shows in London, they'd all be doing a lot better. So that's in London. I think we've shut some down. Okay, we give them to you. but then it's a very different situation outside London. And it's when you get to the small towns, 150,000, 200,000 population in city towns, this is where we're losing the venues, and that's where the stats are, I believe. And I have my own verdict on this, and I think generally it's because most of the time the person who's putting on music in those venues is not the venue owner. It's normally, a 17-year-old kid who wants to put on a gig. That's what you want to do. So you put on a gig, and they do their first night, and they get a few people down, and then they do the next night, and inevitably it's hard to make it work financially. Agents are pushing prices, managers are pushing prices. Bands now need, hospitality. They need someone to help them load their cases in. Sometimes in these small venues, it's all these extra things that have now come on board, has pushed the break even up for the 17-year-old kid doing his first show. He has to pay VAT, and he's not VAT registered, so there's all more costs. So consequently, his first show goes well, his second show goes okay, third show he starts to lose money, he gets despondent, doesn't want to do the show again. And so you end up with these venues kind of not being filled with any promoters with any real experience because they had time to do it. It means that the program's not so well in that there may be acts being given headline slots when they actually can't sell half the venue. So then the venue's got, they're not getting any money on the door because the promotion's getting that. They're relying on bar take, but then only half the room's full. So a lot of the reason for, I believe, for some of this outside of London is because there's no infrastructure for, it's very, very hard for new promoters to learn and to push back with agents and managers on fees, and I appreciate it's difficult for fans to actually talk on those lower fees too. But also, if there was better experience around some of the programming, it's kind of obviously on a Friday we need a club night, you need Saturday you need a club night, but during the day, the band's coming at 3 o'clock, what can you do between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock because you're going to be opening, but how can you get some extra capital into your venue?
Thank you. James, you've got something to what's your own?
I think John and I have a slightly different opinion on London venues. I think we've lost some really historic spaces. Well, I think when the Osvitoriya went, that was a kind of nail in the coffin for the centre of London being, a social scene, and what's happening in Soho is, none of. Back in the day when I started in the business, we used to go out in Soho, and you could run around loads of different gigs in an evening, and now it is much more geographically spread across the town. Having said that, it does give you the opportunity to open new spaces. I think the regional thing has to come alongside the story of what's happening politically and socially in the UK, which is, as consecutive governments take more and more money out of arts and culture in schools, but also out of communities as well, and we've lost a lot of youth clubs and a lot of facilities for young people in small towns. Often the local venue is the place where they can come together, congregate, create bands together. So, do you want me to go on to Music Venues Trust? Should I talk about that?
Yes,
next question.
Yes, that was the next question.
So, I'm really impressed that Sergey's done this research here. There's an organisation which was set up about 5 years ago in the UK called Music Venues Trust. We brought together the first year about 80 or 90 venues from across the country who sat in a room and all talked about the same problems, about complaints from the neighbours, about business rates, about how they just couldn't financially operate on a, we're talking the 200 to 700 capacity venues, which were, historically, thank you for the comment about the music mecca, this was historically a touring circuit. I think Steve Lamacq from Six Music pulled out, that first year we did it, pulled out a poster from the first Oasis tour when they were still playing those capacities. And even like sort of 4 or 5 years later, half of those venues have been closed, and they were really, you promoted in all of those venues back in the day when I first knew you. And they're really the lifeblood, without that touring circuit, a venue like the Roundhouse that I work in couldn't exist, because how is everybody honing their craft if they're not doing that? Music Venues Trust have done an incredible amount of work, and I think in terms of those individual regions and venues coming together and sharing their problems and sharing the cost of those problems, it's been really incredible. I was just saying earlier, a lot of other UK agencies have taken credit for the work that Music Venues Trust have done, but as you said, last week there was a fairly historic government piece of legislation coming in, which is that they are going to cut the business rates to 50%. And with the 100 Club on Oxford Street, which has been under threat forever, that has actually, Westminster Council has agreed 100% business rate cut, and it has now some sort of protection order on it as long as it operates as a venue. So I think, I realise that it's relative when you're talking about DESA and there being no spaces of a certain size, but I think all the promoters across the country joining together and trying to solve those problems collectively is certainly working in the UK at the moment.
Do you think that a tax break like that could be a huge benefit for venues in Ukraine? Could tax reduction be one of the solutions for better work?
I think it could be the first step, but it's not a solution here. The tax rate is not the biggest problem in the music industry here. The belief is the biggest problem. So nobody believes in the music venues, and they don't want to, so I will break even in 5 years. No, I don't want that. I will invest my money in different kind of business. So that's a problem. So when we opened Centrum, it was like promoters opening the venue. So, okay, it didn't work out. But still, because of the neighbors, so it goes down. So when people trying to open the venue that who are not like a promoter or who is not in the music business, who just wanted to invest in a venue. So this venue could last for maybe a year. Then he will calculate and see, I'm not earning any money on this, so I don't want this. So no, the tax is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is like the waiting. The wait, you need to wait like 3, 4, 5 years to make this venue a successful venue. So if you open a new venue, so for example, a lot of artists will not perform there because it's a new one. There are no musical history there, so they don't want to perform in a new venue. So I've been there. So that's why it was the first step, but not the biggest part.
So, in your opinion, the problem is that no one believes in music venues as business from government sides, from the side of government, or from the side of public sector, or
no, in public and business sector, government don't care about music venues. Trust me.
Which is fine for you, or
if they're not in a way, so it's fine for me. So, yeah.
Then goes the question for John and Jane. Do you believe that music venues in Britain can survive without governmental support?
No, is the simple answer, and I think Mark from Music Venue Trust would say that, just going back to the point you're making, often the cost of putting on a show is about 120% or 130% before they're actually taking the box office and the bar. So another piece of work that has been done is lobbying government, and there are initiatives coming through for the first time in the last few years from the Arts Council, who have teamed up with, I'm going to say, PRS Foundation to allow grants to small venues. I think it's for up to like £15,000 for infrastructure, which is kind of incredible. So, lobbying government does still need to be you know, I think consecutive governments in the UK continue to ignore culture as an important career route or progression, despite the creative industries being, you know, an increasingly important part of our financial landscape. Yeah, I don't know what we all collectively do to make politicians understand that this is an important, you know, arts and culture and music are an important part of our lives. I mean, keeping us healthy. They tend to start paying attention when they see the financial rewards of it, rather than just being told that music is important.
But can they see this financial reward? I mean, for example, here in Ukraine, we have a new Ministry of Culture who claim to be open for changes, but their goal is to increase the share of creative industries in GDP. So they say, like, show us why this is important, why this is worthwhile in terms of money, and maybe we will help you. So in terms of music venues, can numbers speak for themselves, or are we talking also about cultural significance and stuff like that?
I think you can. I was having this conversation with Vlad earlier, actually, when we were walking around the space where his festival takes place. I have a friend who runs a free festival in Liverpool called Africa Oh Yay, and he used to get something like £25,000 from the City Council to put it on, and the City Council were trying to reduce the amount of money that they gave him, so they did you know, a financial survey of how much it impacted the local area, and the results of that were over a weekend it was an additional £2 million coming into the area, and rather than reducing their £25,000 they actually had to increase it to help him put on this amazing 2-day free festival, bringing artists from across the continent of Africa. So I think if you can prove to them, and that comes through financial surveys, you know, if you can improve how much tourism is coming into a city, how much additional money is coming into hotels and bars and restaurants, then that's when they do start paying attention.
John, do you have something to add to this?
No, I agree with you. Apart from that, I don't think they can survive, but there's a part of me that also does see some venues in some of the smaller towns who do survive, but they have to be really, really good. That their programming is next to none, and their club nights are all busy, and they've managed to ride that number of years between learning how to book and fill venues and ride that out and get through to the other side, usually go for 5 years things. So I think we do need the support, but there are also venues outside of London who without any grants have continued to do okay because of their expertise.
So the town in Wales called Newport, which used to be quite exciting for music, quite a lot of bands came out of there, and there was a cool venue there called TJ's. Now that doesn't exist anymore, but I heard recently that there was an initiative run by a local woman who had taken over an empty building, had decided to do it sort of redecorate it floor by floor, so she's starting to use it as different venue spaces, and the idea was to offer it out to local people to become shareholders of this business. So she now has about 90 people who all own shares in this new venue, which they obviously think is a really cool thing. So when she has a problem with plumbing, she goes to her shareholders, and the guy who's the plumber from down the road comes, helps her out, then sits at the bar and has 3 pints because he's had a great time, and everybody thinks it's kind of cool to be a shareholder in a bar and a venue. I think that's kind of a fairly forthright initiative, right?
So, going back to this organization, Music Venue Trust, that kind of protects the live scene in a way with all these new initiatives. Some of these initiatives that I've read about are agent of change policy and music development board. So I'm curious, are those concepts really operate nowadays?
So I don't know too much about the Music Development Board, but the concept of agents of change is specifically around neighbours' complaints. So if a venue already exists and then they build a new fancy set of flats next door, you have to sign when you buy one of those flats in your lease that you will not complain about the venue that was already existing as long as they are operating within the limit of their licence. and that has been very successful, specifically with Ministry of Sound in South London, although I think they did have a very big legal bill to put it into place. But there's a new block of flats that have gone up there, and if you buy into that as part of your lease, then you can't complain that there's a venue that has been there for 20, 25 years. So that's the concept. Similarly, I think it works the other way, that if a venue moves in, it has to work within, you know, the local residents' restriction. But of course, with gentrification, as you mentioned, a lot of new builds are going up in London, and then the neighbours are complaining about the venue that they bought a flat next to, because, you know, and they bought it because they wanted to live in a cool environment and fuzzy environment, but actually the reality of it they don't like.
But soundproofing in this case relies on, I mean, it's the responsibility of the builder, of the owner of the territory, not of the music venue in this concept, right?
Absolutely, but if it's not written into the lease, then they will just build it with a balcony facing, you know, the club exit, which at 2 o'clock in the morning 300 people are going to come out of, and they will complain about it. But in the Ministry of Sound case, I think they either didn't build balconies on that side of the building, or there was some sort of triple glazing implemented into it. It cost them a lot of money to do it, but it's a case in point. They've spent the money, hopefully, so that subsequent new venues won't have to.
Right. So before we will take some questions from the audience, only from our other speakers, if you want. I have one final question. How can public sector affect the life of grassroots venues in a good way? I mean, apart from just buying tickets, is there any way for audience, for public sector to support grassroots venues?
I think that's a quite tough question because you know, there's lots of entertainment, there's lots of things to do. You only need to go to a venue if you want to see what's on. So I think the partnership thing you spoke about, the shareholders buying into the venue and having that ownership of the venue, I think that's a great idea. It's similar to Barcelona Football Club, where you know one has a seat. It's not a season ticket; they actually own a seat. They care about the club. I think that's the same idea there. It could work on a smaller scale, but I think it's quite hard and difficult thing to ask the public to do at that stage, and you have to provide incentives coming in first.
Right. Do you have something to add, any of you?
I can add only that the shareholders will not help here, because the more you have shareholders, the more free tickets venue have to give to them. And as the venue is not a promoter of the show, all the promoters will be against it. So if you have a venue for like 900 capacity, you can go give to the club 100. So if you have like a ticket, like 1 year ticket for the show, so the promoters will be against it. So you stuck here.
Fair enough, yeah. So at least now we know about Music Venue Trust some more, and about the importance of organizations like that for survival of grassroots venues. I thank you, and maybe someone have any questions? Yeah, there is one.
Hello, my question to the Jane or to the John. The main complaints from neighbors connected with the noise from inside of the venue, or from noise which made by a crowd of people before and after the concert outside?
It's the latter. It's people coming out of a club at 11 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's that the neighbours get shirty with mainly. Most venues are pretty soundproof, I think. And the trash.
Any more questions?
Have you ever dealt with music festivals? For example, Awakening Festival. Have you ever tried to organize such big festivals, music festivals, in Europe or in Britain? Like trance music, house music. Have you ever dealt with such music?
Yeah, I started at a festival in England called Latitude and booked other festivals in London, Ireland. So yes, what's your question regarding this?
Are you dealer, music dealer in Britain, in London? Do you organize parties? Have you ever dealt with parties? And what about trance music or house music? Have you ever dealt with organization of such psychedelic, parties?
Yeah, I've done mainly guitar music, but I put DJs and club nights and heads at music festivals and yeah. I'm sorry, I don't really understand what the question is.
Do you like psychedelic music?
I do, yeah.
Get one more question in the third row, and this will probably be the last one.
It's so interesting to hear different challenges in different markets. It's really, I really enjoyed the conversation. So I just wanted to clarify, so what I heard in British and in London specifically, there is kind of oversaturation. You said that there is less shows, right? So kind of, because more and more people to produce music is now more and more available for anyone actually. So that creates much more supply than before. So and also another, and I think that Ukrainian market is not so saturated. So I just wanted to, what is the dynamics? Like there is much more supply than demand, or it's kind of balanced?
I mean, I'm looking from a promoter's perspective, so it's slightly hard. My view on in London, there is almost too many venues. Is we could fill those venues. We could have another 40 venues and fill those venues. We just keep going. But and I think obviously it's changed. You can get your music out there. You can develop a fan base quite much quicker than ever before. But the counter argument for me is that if you're a young band, you want to play live, but it shouldn't just be. So this is a very different argument to your situation here. But you shouldn't just be able to just go on a stage and not be that good. Like, my argument is there needs to be almost like less venues in London, and means less availability, means that only really the best acts are getting onto that stage. And with that, those acts will develop further, I think. And I think while we're just diluting with more and more artists, and not everyone's good. You know, maybe they're allowed to develop a fan base. Of course, that's what the artist wants to do. But in many ways, with the saturation and the diluting, it means that some of those acts which are really quite good almost don't get as big as they should, because they're just being diluted across so many different shows. So that's why the theory around there should be slightly less venues, and you should be good to get on the stage. The counter argument is, how do we get good if we're not on the stage? So it's a much bigger conversation, but that's where I'm going.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who decides who is best and who is not? And will the club will be booked for the first one, or when the second one, the better act will come out, so the club will decline the date to the first act?
I think that the gatekeeper there is the venue, and there's certain venues in London that won't take certain acts because maybe they don't fit into their genre, they're not into their artistic sense. So yeah, I mean, it's a good question, who decides what is good and what's allowed. But I just feel that there is, we all perhaps want to pick up an instrument at 17, 18, we all have done and tried, whatever, but it doesn't mean that everyone should actually be allowed on stage. That's my view. If you have to
think you have to be good. Yeah, and I think with that we will kind of maneuver that kind of bottleneck much smaller, and we'll see much better, stronger artists and bigger audiences, which in turn will help them.
We have one last question in the last row.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
Alexey Bondarenko, Room.com.ua. We were talking about middle venues and big venues, about 500, 1,000, 2,000 people and more. And I wanted to ask you about small venues, like 50 people, 100 people for smaller bands. There were two big, not big, small venues, in Kyiv, Divan and 44, where almost every Ukrainian small band started. And two of them are closed already. The question is, can you earn money on a small venue as a venue holder? The first, and the second, what should you do to begin earning money on that?
You try. Yes, you can. First of all, you can earn money in a small venue because almost all artists are performing there or for free or for percentage of the doors. So the venue gets at least maybe 50% of the door sales plus the bar. So venue almost every time wins. So on a smaller venue because there are no like high fee artists performing there.
So why do they close?
Same, because I can tell you because of these two venues, the building holders doesn't want to proceed with the contract with these venues, and they just sold it to another one. So that's all. Easy.
And in the UK?
No, you can't. You can't. I'm in a 100 capacity room. I can make. How I will make money on a 100 capacity room is that I will load in the band. I may cook the food. Then I'll do the door as well. And so I can then maybe tiny bit, but I lose a tiny bit. So, but in general, at that size capacity, you're losing money. But for us, we're putting money into the act. We're prepared to lose and lose and lose on the idea that one day they're going to play big rooms and we're going to get all that money back. It's a gamble.
I'm just going to say, because John's too humble to say this, but you also do that in 3,000 capacity spaces as well. You're often, you wear many hats though.
But yeah, you have to. It's a tight industry, and you have to try and do as much as you can to get your risk down. You know, the more your risk comes down, the more chance you have. So fight the risk.
Thank you.
I see other hands, but we're out of time at the moment. So you can try to ask them personally, but bear in mind that our speakers run fast. So Eugene, Natick, Jane, and John, thank you for your time.
Hopefully in Ukraine we will also have this opportunity to be named City of Music. So we will have the presentation at the beginning, and afterwards if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask it. And now I would like to give the microphone to the guest of the forum, Lukasz Kalambasiak, who will tell us a little bit more about Katowice City of Music and what kind of influence it had on Polish music industry. And I would mention that we are really grateful for the support for Polish Institute in Kyiv, because this is the partners who made it happen, that our guests are here in Kyiv, so thank you very much for that. And it's your turn, Lukasz, please.
Thank you, Alona. Should I say Alona? You're being called here. Thank you to you for being here. As you are here so numerous as I think you're really interested in what we are talking about, especially at this time of the day. So thank you to the Polish Institute that invited us here, and I wanted to tell you a few words about a very good and very efficient example, I hope, of active policy on music led by the municipality, because here I represent the city of Katowice and exactly its cultural institution, which is called Katowice City of Gardens. That's a long story, I don't want to tell you about it, not this time. But this is a municipal institution, and one of our main goals, our main objectives, is to lead the program of participation of the city in the UNESCO Creative
cities network as a city of music, and I will tell you about it later on. But first, some basic things. If you don't know it yet, where the Katowice are, south of Poland. A city of quite moderate size in terms of population, 300,000 people, but it's a heart of a Silesian metropolis, and there is more or less 3 million people living around, so quite well populated as for Poland. Lots of direct connections nowadays from our airport to Ukraine, Kyiv and Lviv, and now even Odessa. As for Katowice, you've been seeing it. I just described this presentation 2009-2020. Why is that? Because it all started, the whole transformation of the city, which used to be an industrial city in the past, and then post-industrial city in the 90s. So before that, the city of coal, city of heavy industry. So you can imagine what an image of the city was in Poland for many decennies. Many people has only the image of a grey, unattractive, polluted place, which is completely boring. Oh yeah, sorry. I should start with the modern pictures, of course. So there's some of the pictures of Katowice from the fly spot, our Congress Hall, with the festival going on. One of the main streets. Yes, some few of the impressive night visions, and this is the place we call the cultural zone. Here's the new home of the Silesian Museum. Here's the Polish National Radio Orchestra concert hall. I will mention it later. Then there's a flying saucer you might see. It's a sport hall, but it also holds a lot of concerts. And this whole area, as I mentioned, is called a cultural zone, and it used to be a coal mine, of course. Coal mine just in the middle of the city, and it operated until 1998. So imagine yourselves 22 years old, it was still operating and mining the coal in the city center. So it's not easy. It's easy to imagine what was the image of the city in the past. This is probably one of the Silesian streets in the 60s or 70s. But for many people in Poland, this image, the stereotype, was still very active. So we have to deal with a very strong stereotype of a city. So when it has changed, I need to tell you about it going back to the in history, going back in time, a little bit of history. As you've seen it, 2009 was the moment, so almost more than 10 years ago. And this moment, this crucial moment in our history, was called the European Capital of Culture. One of the Polish cities was supposed to be the European Capital of Culture in 2016. Finally, it was Wrocław, Breslau, on the western part of a country. But many cities joined the competition for this title. Katowice, what was very surprisingly, was one of the last cities to join this competition, to stand for this competition. And really, believe me, not too many people have any confidence in this candidature. Very few people believe in that we can achieve anything in this competition, and no one probably believes that we can be the European capital of culture, mainly because of those stereotypes I've been mentioning before. But we managed to get to the final 5 of the cities. There was 15, then there was 5, so we were really in the elite and it was a huge surprise for everyone, outside and also inside. But in general, this competition has really galvanized hundreds of people in Katowice. We really gained self-confidence in ourselves, and of course in our future, in our culture, first of all. And it really also changed the image in hands of people who outside of the region, in Poland in general. And one of the factors that contributes to this change of the image was 2 of our musical festivals. That's why I wanted to tell you about how music also can change the image of a city. 2 festivals that we, in fact, invited to the city of Katowice. They were born, some of them, well, 2 of them, one of them was born, in fact, in Katowice, then it moved to another city, and then we invited it once again. It was
the second one, the Tower New Music Festival. Mainly, I know that some of the artists who are here have also participated in this festival, played during this festival. It's a new music, jazz experimental festival, and off festival it's more alternative, mainly rock, indie music. So why it was so important for our image? Because it attracted hundreds of thousands of people. More or less, the off festival can be watched, or there's 15,000 participants each day. So more or less, we think there's 40,000 people coming to every festival. So it's a medium-sized festival in Polish terms. He also won the European Festival Award for a medium-sized festival, and Tauron twice won the competition for a small-sized festival. And those people who came from Poland, they discovered a completely new city, modernized, green, which is important because 40% of the city area is the green areas, woods, forests, parks. Yeah, and Tauron New Music was also being held on the place of a former coal mine, so they also discover the attractiveness of a post-industrial architecture and how can it be used as a place for organizing a music festival. What was also very important at that time, I mean 2009 to 2011, that Katowice has just transformed one of its streets into a pedestrian street and devoted it to nightlife economy simply. So they just invited the bars, pubs, restaurants to be placed exactly on the street, Mariacka Street, which means the Holy Mary Street, which is quite funny. There's a Holy Mary Street, and it was devoted mainly to drinking and having fun. But at that time, it was exactly during our participation in the competition for European Capital of Culture, the street exploded in popularity. And there was more and more people who visiting it during the night. So before that, the Katowice were falling asleep at 9 p.m. And with this Mariacka Street being opened and refurbished, the city has just, we gained the nightlife economy as a matter of fact, and we started to attract hundreds of and thousands of people from all around the metropolis. No, it's far too far. Wait a second. And this competition for European Capital of Culture was important, mainly because what we discovered also about ourselves. Although we perfectly knew, or more or less we knew our musical potential, I will show you the slide. Yes, we knew that we have one of the most important orchestra in Poland, Polish National Radio Orchestra. We were aware that we have a great Academy of Music, and this is the place where it was the first place in Poland where jazz music was being taught on an academical level. So whole generations of Polish jazzmen have been the graduates of the academy. We have wonderful persons like Wojciech Kilar, a very prominent music composer for film. So he was cooperating with Ford Francis Coppola. The music to soundtrack to Dracula is made by Wojciech Kilar, and with Jane Campion. He cooperated with all the most important Polish Polish filmmakers like Andrzej Wajda or Krzysztof Kieślowski. Of course, we knew we have the biggest indoor blues festival, Grava Blues Festival, but it was but it was at that time during this competition we gathered all our assets and we started to think of it as a whole potential. And what was the most important thing, when an international jury that was supposed to pick up this one best city to be the European Capital of Culture, when those international juries have come to Katowice, they of course visited all the places, they've met all the people, and then they said one very important thing that we started to think of and we remind till today, that no matter if you're going to be the European Capital of Culture or not, you may be sure that you are the capital of music. And this really opened our eyes to what's happening in Katowice. It opened a new perspective for us. And we have had in a few next years another very important asset, this time infrastructural, our jewel, as I said, and it is the new concert hall of Polish National Radio Orchestra in Katowice, which was opened in 2014. I've mentioned you the orchestra, absolutely on the top. One of the, for me, the best. Some say it's on the second place. I would say it's equal with the National Philharmonic in Warsaw. But as for the concert hall, which was financed also thanks to European Union, thank you European Union. With this concert hall, it really exploded, and the popularity of the orchestra exploded. Before that, they are here in Katowice since 1945, for all the generations. But I remember their concerts before opening this concert hall, and they were playing in the concert hall for 1,000 seats, and usually it was half full, or there was 3-4 quarters full. In this concert hall, buying a ticket during the first 2 years of operating, absolutely impossible. You had to buy it in advance in a month. So thousands of people wanted to see the place, to participate in the concert. It became extremely fashionable, and you can imagine why. Take a look how it looks inside. It's a wonderful concert hall with a great acoustic made by Nagata Acoustics, by the Japanese company that has worked on the acoustic of the most important concert hall in the world. So acoustics there is absolutely perfect. And as one of the musical critics mentioned, sitting inside of this concert hall, you feel like sitting inside of a violin, and that's absolutely true. This is how you feel yourself. So that's how it was. And at that moment, we discovered another thing, and this thing was the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. And this network is a program of United Nations, exactly the agenda for cultural, UNESCO, who is gathering the most important cities, who uses music as one of the factors of development of the city itself, who are supporting the music industry, who wants to work on developing the musical sector in their city. At that time, it was very allied club. There was 9 cities of music around the world. When we applied in 2015, we prepared the application, and yes, finally we just asked another time. I mentioned you that we were working. We like to have someone watching us from outside, making some kind of analysis of what's happening, and it was exactly what we asked the Sound Diplomacy, which is the company from the United Kingdom, who make a report, make a evaluation of Katowice's musical assets, and we used a lot of their ideas, what we do in our program. And yes, in 11th of December 2015, we became the first Polish UNESCO City of Music, and we became the second Polish city in the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. First, it was Kraków, which is the city of literature, and Katowice was the second of us and the first as a city of music. And in fact, the history and the whole story has just starting here. What are the obligations of it? Because of course, it's being a UNESCO Creative City. It's a great opportunity. It's a great mark of quality of the musical life you have in the city. So it's being used for promotional reasons by a city very strongly and intensively. But it is also, and first of all, these are the obligations, and those obligations are to strengthen the creation, production, distribution, and dissemination of cultural activities, goods, and services. Develop hubs of creativity and innovation, broaden opportunities for creators and professionals in the cultural sectors, improve access to and participation in cultural life, in particular for marginalized or vulnerable groups, and fully integrate cultural and creativity into sustainable development plans. Plus, it's more or less it's more or less also very hard and difficult words. And what we do with these obligations throughout the year, and what we declared that we wanted to do, and what was most important for us, it's because as I mentioned, the sound diplomacy, and of course from our personal experience, we knew that the emerging artists are those who are the most vulnerable, in fact, in the city. Academy of Music, there's a lot of graduates from the Academy of Music who have their bands, who want to play, who are very talented, and not only playing classical music, but they're just all kinds of music from jazz to rock, for blues. And they are left alone, completely left alone. Poland, as many other markets, is centralized. I mean, everything's happening in Warsaw. Everything is in the capital. All the most important producers, all the most important companies are in Warsaw. So if you want to start your career in a city like Katowice, on the southern outskirts of the city, of the state, it is terribly difficult. So what we wanted to do is to help people to start, help emerging artists to start, to make and facilitate their way from amateurs to professionals. And that's why we invented the project District Sounds Good. District because Katowice are dispersed in many districts, and we wanted to help especially those young bands from the districts who are playing, in their garages or in the basements, and we want to take out those talented people. How we do it? Every year we are making an open call. We are organizing a rehearsal, one day, full day of rehearsal, and those bands who apply to it are presenting themselves in front of a professional jury created by or consists of well-known musicians from Poland and the professionals from the music industry, and they are choosing from 4 to 6 young bands that we as the institution are helping throughout the whole year. What we do, we are giving them some kind of tools to help them professionalize. So those tools are first of all workshops. So whatever they need, what are their weaknesses, we are trying to improve. So it's the workshops of promoting themselves, the workshops of some musical skills, the workshops of producing music, and so on and so on. And we are working with them on the package of promotional materials, professional promotional materials. So they are having access, they can have their professional photo session, video session, so having some kind of a promotional clip, and they can register their first musical pieces as an EP, for example, or maybe long play if they are able. And what is even more important, they get the access to our music hub, which is a small music incubator. I wish to say like Master Sky here, but I was very impressed by your music hub. It's even better. I'd love to have it so well equipped in Katowice. Our music hub is mainly devoted at the moment to those artists from the District Sounds Good project. What is funny now, every band wants to be a Katowice band, so they are writing in their applications that my grandmother was from Katowice, and I used to be living in one of the districts for a month, even if they are from a completely different city. But we don't reject them. We just want to try and help as many artists from the region. As I said, we are treating the region as a whole, as a metropolis. But those artists who are in the final of our, those chosen artists from the District Sounds Good project, they have the full access throughout the year to our music hub. They can practice there, of course, the rehearsal room with the fully equipped backline. There's a small registering studio, so they can practice, learn whatever they want. We are very flexible to them. Another example of supporting the musical projects, which is called music grants. So every year we are giving more or less 50,000 euro for projects, and we picking up those projects, organizing 2 open calls. So whatever it's an organizer or an artist or absolutely private person who has a good innovative idea, which has something to do with music, he can apply to this program, present this idea, and if it's chosen by us and by our professional also group of people who has the decisive voice, we are co-organizing this project. I mean, giving the money, giving also the technical support for it. It can be anything. Throughout the years, it's been we've produced with the artists at least 20 CDs. We organized, I don't remember how many concerts, but what we are focusing on is some social and participative project that has music in it. I mean, the workshop, or if the artists want to cooperate with the people with disabilities. And so this is our This is our main goals, although we can also make a musical installation in one of the underground passages in Katowice. We also been an organizer as a city of very important networking and professional events like World Music Expo WOMEX. It was in 2017. I hope you know the event. It's a worldwide, it's the most important, at least in Europe, meeting of artists from the music. I'm just checking the time, okay, I'm running out of it. It's a great opportunity to networking. It was the first WOMEX with so many artists from Poland, thanks to the fact that it was organized in Poland. Katowice are also the host of the most important musical prize in Poland, which is a Frederick Prize, and for many, many years it was organized in Warsaw, and then we decided to invite them to our city and to enlarge this idea. And now the Frederick Prize is also a conference, so it also serves the music industry in Poland because people can meet, can talk, can exchange the good practices. What is important for a UNESCO creative city, which is our Bible, is the Sustainable Development Goals. I know you know it because I've seen some cubes on the wardrobe in the corridor, so you also know the UNESCO Sustainable Goals. There are 17 of them. They are very general. They are about the development of the city, but there are also some points that you might and need to use as a city and in the cultural level. For example, Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality. How we do it? Because we are also the organizer of a few festivals. We are trying to fill in some musical gaps in the city, for example, organizing a jazz festival. There's not too many people listening to jazz nowadays, so no one will take a risk and organize a commercial jazz festival, especially in Katowice, but we wanted the jazz scene to be vibrant, so that's why we're organizing it. And the gender equality, we are fulfilling this Sustainable Development Goal by entering the festival to the Key Change initiative. That's the initiative which aim is to promote the participation of women artists in the programs of festivals. So the Katowice Jazz Art Festival, which I need to mention, is the first Polish musical festival that entered the competition, this initiative, Key Change. And in fact, we achieved this goal already last year because more than half of the bands we invited for the festival were all fully women, with the women artists, or with the women artist participation. And quality education, goal number 4, which is very important for us because we want to bring up a new public. We want to sensibilize children with music and for music. We want to be them. We don't want to be them to be the virtuosos, but we want them to have the contact with music. So we are running a lot of musical educational programs, as well as all the musical institution in Katowice does. And yes, some facts and figures, which are quite important. Is investing in music affordable? Is it worthy? If you wanted to convince your mayors or whatever you can speak of, yes, it is. We made a research. It was in 2016. So take a look. This research was about the participation of people in Off Festival and Tauroni Music, those two most important festivals. So in both cases, more than 60% of the participants were from other parts of Poland. So they attract a lot of public from outside. And yeah, even in Off Festival, there's 83% of people. There's of course some people from Metropolia, from the city itself, and an average participant of Off Festival brings more or less 300 Polish zloty. It is let's say 60 euro. I think it's under-evaluated even. Not comparing not including the fee for the festival, the ticket for the festival, of course. So you can count it 40,000 people more or less, and 360 euros per person. It's a huge amount. As for the Tauroni Music, it's 200, a little bit less, according to the survey. Of course, I think, as I said, I think it's underestimated. And if you want to know more about the Katowice City of Music, Katowice UNESCO City of Music, you can find it on our webpage, katowicemusic.com, mainly about the story, the musical potential of the city, some of our programs, and some of the things that are being organized in the past or we are organizing now is also, of course, in English, no Ukrainian language yet, but we're working on it. It would be great, as you know, there's a lot of people from Ukraine working and living also in Katowice, which we are very happy of. We have the public from Ukraine is also growing, so everybody are trying now to adjust themselves to this point and to this situation. Am I in time? 6 o'clock?
Yes.
Yes, it's perfect.
Still 15 minutes.
15 minutes even. Oh gosh, so I speed up much too much. Okay, so you have me here, so I will tell you another short story about the education, the musical education, because we have a very nice project we want to introduce in the next few years, and it's called, it's a good practice, implemented from a few cities in Europe. It is called Musical School for Social Change, and this project is being implemented thanks to the Urbact project, and so it's once again thank you European Union. And the idea of this project that we wanted to implement, also our way of implementing it, in the next few years we want to organize at least 3 free brass bands or brass orchestras for the pupils, for the students of the primary schools in Katowice. We are cooperating now with 3 of them. And the idea is, of course, not to learn them how to play properly. We don't want to have more virtuosos. We don't want them to go, all of them, to go to the musical school. What we do and what is our goal, because we believe that the music has the power of transforming society. So the transforming of society was one of the goals that we implemented this policy in music. It's not only about the industry and business, but it's mainly about the society. So we believe that by making this, for example, those orchestras, we can really, as it is very popular statement, improve the social cohesion and lower the tensions, especially among young people. We are also we want to implement this project in a more, let's say, sensible districts where there's more people with some social issues and economical issues. So we want to show them and use all the good factors, all the good things that music can bring in society by, as I said, attracting young people to music and giving them instruments, giving them contact with the instruments, giving them the possibility to play and to play together, and to cooperate, which is also very important, especially when you have the opportunity to play and form some kind of orchestra. And it's going to be the brass orchestra because, as in every industrial, post-industrial region, the brass orchestras are quite important. It's a long, very old tradition of workers, brass orchestra, especially in coal mines, definitely in Poland, I suppose in many other countries too. So this is how it works. I hope we're gonna manage it. And as I said, the city is absolutely devoted to it. We have a full support of the municipality, and thanks to that, we can implement all those projects in the city of Katowice. And as I mentioned, or I didn't mention, it's the program of UNESCO Creative Cities is open worldwide. It's a global project, so we have, I know at least one Ukrainian city, which is Kyiv, which is the UNESCO Creative City for literature. And I'm not sure if there's any other. There might be, but I didn't check it out. My fault. Sorry. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. I'm at your disposal.
Talking about budgets, you mentioned that like most of the money is from European Foundation.
It's mainly from the municipalities, in fact. All the projects are mainly, the infrastructural investments were financed by the European Union, half this Polish National Radio Orchestra, but the city contributed in half of the costs. But the main budgets are from the municipality. Yes, Katowice are quite a wealthy city, even if it's not so huge in terms of population, 300,000, and they are spending, but they are still spending less than 4% of the budget for culture. So it's also the cost of upkeeping the buildings, paying the pensions for people who are working in the institutions. But still, it's yearly budget for culture with all those expenses. It's about 50 million euros. So this is the scale. But really, believe me, you can lead those projects with much more smaller money. You can lead those projects also without, as I see here in Kyiv, for example, when the place like Masterskaya is being run by a private foundation, in fact NGOs, and it was founded by the artists. So there's always some kind of a solution. It doesn't need to have a huge amount of money. Of course, with the money you can make a splash. It can be much bigger, much more secure. But you can also use your potential and make a lot of good things for the city, musical life, and for the society, thanks to the music.
Thanks. Talking about opportunities, the music hub and district, are they opportunities for local bands or Ukrainian bands also?
No, this is a program of personalization for our local Katowice bands. As I said, we are open also for the region, but still we are sticking to Silesia. But I can imagine, but of course I cannot imagine a band from Kyiv participating in, but maybe someday we're gonna have a band consists of Ukrainian musicians who are working or that are studying or working in Katowice. They're having a band. So maybe even there was, because every year there's more than 40 participants. So there's a lot. I never heard all of them, but it's the program created for our musicians, because that's the city's program, city's policy. So we are focused on the citizens of the city.
Question for me. I'm wondering at what point and who decided that okay, now Katowice will become the music city?
Yeah, this was it was a complicated process, because I think it's, of course, always in every city it's the city council and the mayor who decides. So at that time, I mean 2009, 2010, mayor was convinced by the stakeholders of the cultural life in Katowice that it's worthy first to participate in the competition for the European Capital of Culture, and then to continue this project. But as I said, it was thanks to this positive effects of European Capital of Culture competition that the government, the local government, let's say, I mean the mayor and the city council, has decided that yes, we should continue. We should spend a little bit more on culture, be a little bit more active, give you some freedom in acting and creating the program. And yes, we have the results.
And was the community or some people who were actually influencing this decision?
Yeah, of course, we have lots of consultations, mainly with the musical life stakeholders. We have all those boards and all those ambassadors who are supporting us, especially during the UNESCO Creative City application when we are creating it. So all the time we are inviting them to work with us. For example, every month we are organizing some kind of an event called the Musical Radar, when we try to gather the music industry representatives who are working and being active in Katowice around some kind of round table discussing the important matters. We are trying also to transfer some knowledge to them by inviting the specialists from Poland, from Warsaw, and every meeting is dedicated to the special topic.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe more questions.
Thank you for interesting presentation. I may ask about which different styles and genres do you not prefer, but link with sustainable future of these Katowice festivals? And second part of the question, these stakeholders or municipality, do they have a strong choice in music? Do they have influence on this, on your choice maybe how you choose between underground, alternative, pop, and mainstream in this choice?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The first question, the sustainability and the genres, it doesn't matter. Whatever works, it works. If you want to play jazz, feel free to play jazz. As I said, we are using the brass music to educate children, or we want to do it because it has some tradition and it's the easiest way of playing, especially for those who are amateurs. So the genre doesn't matter. And as for those choices, as you said, especially at the very beginning, this 2009, 2010, we decided which sectors, what kind of music, what genres need some kind of support in Katowice. Because, for example, we were perfectly doing well in classical music thanks to the Nostra Orchestra. We had another Silesian Philharmonic in Katowice, so they didn't need any support. It was doing great. But as I said, for example, jazz, which has a long tradition, but it's not so profitable. So we started to, and we have now 2 jazz festivals, as a matter of fact. The same with the world music, for example. We wanted to present the Katowice and Silesian public bands from all around the world, also to open them on the other culture. We believe it has a very good positive effect. But of course, finding someone who's going to organize on a private basis the World Music Festival and inviting the artists from Africa, let's say, imagine the cost. Absolutely impossible. So that's why we're also running the World Music Festival. But organizing this music grants support program, no, we are open to all kind of music if they are on a nice artistic level if they are having some social impact that we are counting on.
And the question is going to be for me. So we're really inspired by the Katowice case and how the city municipality really supports the music industry. But to tell the truth, it's not really the case in Kyiv at the moment. So do you have any recommendations how we, like music workers, how the musician can have the influence on the city municipality to put the focus on music and to support independent musicians, for example? What kind of instruments we can choose?
Yeah, sure, certain. It all depends on who do you need to convince and what is the personality of the person. What kind of arguments gonna be useful to convince him? Maybe some financial and maybe some social arguments. You know, it's hard to say not knowing the person. The mixture of, for example, both might be very useful to try to convince that it might work for the society, solve some social problems on some level, of course. But we still need to remember that it's a micro change you can make through the culture. It won't be on a global scale. But maybe some facts and figures we can provide you with our research. How can really supporting maybe some musical events can be and is good for the city economy, because the people are just spending a lot of money going to Kyiv for the event, and if the city doesn't want to support it, and it should, because every euro spent on the festival as a support will be go back to the city twice or 3 times, thanks to the money that the people who are participating in the festival are going to spend on the hotels, the restaurants, and using the public or private transportation.
Okay, thank you very much. To tell the truth, we don't really have that much time left. That's why I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Lukasz for this great presentation.
Що для багатьох з вас це буде важливо, тому що ті деньги лежать. Отже, розпочинає перший сет презентації з оперативної групи. Чекаємо до вас.
Дякую. Якщо можемо знайти мікрофон тут і там. Я також проектна менеджерка програми «Я Selector на Європу та Україні». Відповідно, якщо у вас будуть якісь питання по матеріалу, які я зараз вам буду показувати, то, будь ласка, підходьте, запитуйтесь, можемо обмінятися контактами, з радістю вам допоможемо. поки я не забула, якщо у вас знову ж таки будуть питання саме по цьому конкурсу для музичної індустрії, про які я сьогодні буду розказувати, і ви бачите, що ваша організація потенційно може податись і потенційно може взяти участь у цьому конкурсі, 24 лютого в Києві ми будемо організовувати інформаційний день саме по цьому конкурсу. Там ми більш детально пройдемося по аплікаційній формі, по бюджету, комунікаційній стратегії. Тобто, якщо щось буде незрозуміло або ви ще не працювали з грантовими заявками, будь ласка, приходьте на наш інформаційний день 24 числа Креативна Європа. Підписуйтесь на Фейсбук, всі новини у нас там є. Тепер швиденько розказую, що ж таке Креативна Європа і чому це дуже така можливість. Креативна Європа – це найбільша програма Євросоюзу для культурних та креативних індустрій. Вона планується семилітками, як і працює Європарламент, і відповідно перша програма Креативна Європа буде закінчуватися саме в цьому році, в 2020 році. Що класно, наступний бюджет і наступна програма вже також затверджена Європарламентом. Відповідно, ми дуже сподіваємося, що Україна також буде частиною цієї програми. І знову українські апліканти, заявники, тобто ви, як українська організація, зможете брати участь у всіх тих можливостях і конкурсах, які є у програми. Саме ця програма підтримує культурний, креативний та аудіовізуальний сектор, і загальний бюджет – це 1,46 мільярдів євро. Ви розумієте, що це дуже велика сума, яка ділиться саме на ці конкурси по рокам, які відкриваються. Відповідно, вам, як зацікавленим особам і організаціям, треба просто моніторити, який конкурс відкритий зараз і які є у вас можливості. По бюджету, яким чином він розподіляється, 56% на медіа, тобто це не тільки, це не ЗМІ, як ви могли подумати, а це будь-які аудіовізуальні твори, які ви можете продукувати. Це може бути фільм, онлайн-гра тощо. 31% йде на культуру і 13% на міжсекторальну співпрацю. І, звичайно, як будь-яка грантова програма, Креативна Європа має свої пріоритети, які мають входити в вашу ідею, вашого проекту. Відповідно, коли ви розумієте, що критерії підходять, ви маєте зрозуміти саме під який з них і таким чином прописувати ідею, щоб перевіряючому експерту було зрозуміло, на що ви орієнтуєтесь. Креативна Європа – це велика міжнародна програма і, відповідно, міжнародна мобільність – це дуже важливий пріоритет. Ви маєте їздити потенційно до ваших закордонних партнерів, навчатися всьому тому, що вони знають, ділитися досвідом і саме таким чином виходити на міжнародний рівень роботи. Також завдяки Креативній Європі ви можете розширити свою аудиторію, протестувати нові бізнес-моделі, працювати з різними видами дистрибуції вашого креативного контенту, працювати з культурною спадщиною тощо. Якщо ви десь ось тут на слайді бачите себе, відповідно, якщо ви займаєтесь танцем, музикою, працюєте в бібліотеці, Креативна Європа – це також для вас. Креативні індустрії також це Креативна Європа, і якщо ви працюєте на фестивалі, навіть в креативному підприємстві, також це можливість для вас, будь ласка, заходьте і знайомитесь з ним. Дуже спішу, тому що дуже класна можливість. І зараз, в 2020 році, в рамках програми Креативна Європа є спеціальні пілотні конкурси під назвою Music Moves Europe. Планується 3 конкурси у 2020 році, відкрито зараз 2. І я сьогодні розкажу про найцікавіші, напевно, для вас. Це спільне створення та спільне виробництво. Зверніть увагу, що ваша ідея може продовжуватися до 18 місяців. Відповідно, ви маєте пропрацювати вашу ідею таким чином, щоб повністю від моменту початку ваших активностей провести активну фазу, промо, завершення проекту і звітування, тому що звітувати ви будете напряму Європейської комісії. Яка підтримка надається? Як правило, просять по цьому конкурсу влаштувати резиденцію мінімум для 20 артистів. Це можуть бути українські артисти, артисти з інших країн Креативної Європи. Це залежить від вашої ідеї. Подаватись може бути один або декілька заявників. Дуже часто в програмі Креативна Європа є вимога, щоб ви працювали за кордонною організацією,
закордонними партнерами. Чому так? Тому що тільки завдяки ось цій міжнародній роботі ви зможете вийти дійсно на міжнародний рівень і, наприклад, пропрацювати вашу ідею з якимось, скажімо, польським лейблом. Таким чином, ви проапгрейдите ваші знання, ви будете знати, як працювати з цією організацією в іншому контексті, і ваша ідея буде отримувати дійсно міжнародний досвід. Відповідно, обсяг фінансування, щоб ви розуміли, це до 85% від бюджету цього проекту, що становить до 50% євро. Креативна Європа ніколи не покриває 100% всього проекту. Відповідно, усі 15% ви маєте дофінансувати самостійно, і яким чином ви маєте зрозуміти самі у вашій організації, можливо, там через якихось українських донорів, наприклад, або через ваші власні ресурси, але, ну, скажімо, ось цей показник дуже високий, тому що, як правило, Креативна Європа покриває 50-60%, а ось тут 85%. Яким чином виглядає таймлайн конкурсу? Зараз приймаються заявки, і до 30 березня, коли дедлайн, ви можете подати опис вашої ідеї. Що класно, ви це робите онлайн, тому що ви напряму подаєтесь в Єврокомісію через онлайн-портал, який вказаний у нас на сайті Креативної Європи. Відповідно, просто готуєте скани ваших документів, і це все, що потрібно на цей момент. Потім 2 місяці перевіряється ваша ідея. Як вона перевіряється? Ми не знаємо тих експертів, які в Брюсселі перевіряють вашу заявку, але це буде 100% 2 експерти, які працюють в музичній індустрії. Тобто вони будуть розуміти сам контекст і актуальність вашої ідеї. У червні приблизно всі апліканти отримують відповідь, чи проходить їх ідея, чи ні. І у вересні можете підписувати грантову угоду з Єврокомісією, і потім планувати всі 18 місяців і всю вашу подальшу роботу. Які документи потрібні? Аплікаційна форма, ви просто там описуєте ідею, що саме ви хочете робити. Декларація доброчесності – це номінальний документ, в якому ви засвідчуєте, що будете витрачати гроші виключно на цей проект, який ви запропонували. Лист доручення вам потрібен, якщо ви працюєте з вашими закордонними партнерами, ви, як головний аплікант, маєте податися від їх імені також, тобто вони просто в цьому односторінковому документі мають сказати, що вони дозволяють вам податися від свого імені також. Ви маєте прорахувати бюджет, скільки грошей вам потрібно, і подати список команди вашого проекту. За якими критеріями оцінюється взагалі релевантність вашої ідеї? Також які активності ви плануєте, бачите, що можуть тільки 24 бали і вище пройти. І організація команди проекту, тобто хто менеджер вашого проекту і яким чином ви будете запрошувати учасників. Що далі? У 2021 році починається нова програма Креативної Європи, відповідно будуть нові можливості для українських аплікантів. Головний фокус – це крос-секторальні проекти між культурними та аудіовізуальними секторами. І там буде 3 основних пріоритети, тобто вирішення проблем, яким чином всі сектори можуть працювати разом. Технології, використання нових цифрових технологій, а також використання інновацій в культурній сфері, тому що завдяки цьому ми можемо рости і використовувати нові можливості. Звичайно, є Українське бюро Креативної Європи в Україні. Це ми і мої колеги, хто допомагає українським аплікантам готувати досить, інколи важкі, інколи не важкі заявки, і ми зацікавлені в тому, щоб якнайбільше українських аплікантів використовували ось саме цю можливість і можливість податись на досить великий і престижний конкурс. І чому ми рекомендуємо використовувати цю можливість? Тому що Креативна Європа – це, напевно, одна з небагатьох програм, яка дає вам фідбек, якщо вас не обирають. Тобто вам не дають грант, але ви отримаєте величезний фідбек, в якому написано, чого вашій ідеї не вистачило, для того, щоб вона була обрана для фінансування. І дуже часто наші апліканти використовують це як домашнє завдання, щоб зробити роботу над помилками і податись наступного разу. Таким чином, фестиваль «Молодість», український фестиваль «Молодість», він на другий раз був успішним. Також є перелік успішних проєктів у нас на сайті. Дуже б хотілося, щоб саме ця можливість для музичного сектора була використана і ще більше класних українських ідей працювало на міжнародному рівні. У мене є ще час? Добре, клас! Давайте тоді питання, бо я випалила вам всю презентацію дуже швидко. Чи є якісь питання, буквально 3? Як податись на цю можливість і взагалі, як це?
Коротке питання, де підписання? Де саме відбувається підписання?
Контракти. Дивіться, коли ви подалися на можливість саме на цей конкурс, Єврокомісія перевірила вашу заявку, прекрасно все подобається, вам присилає офер і драфт контракту менеджер з Єврокомісії, який буде працювати з вами. Тобто ви будете конкурувати в цьому конкурсі не тільки з українськими заявниками, які посилають свою ідею, а взагалі з заявниками з усієї Європи, з усіх країн креативної Європи, як ми називаємо, це 41 країна. Треба звертати увагу, що це за країна, тобто це ЄС, країни Східного партнерства, і саме з тих країн потрібно шукати партнерів, тому що, в принципі, це і саме територія роботи проекту. Потім, коли ви отримаєте саме цей офер від Єврокомісії, ви кажете, що моя адреса ось така, вам висилають контракт, ви його підписуєте і назад в Брюссель відправляєте. Тобто, в принципі, вся комунікація проходить онлайн, але потім ви просто закріплюєте ваші відносини письмово з Єврокомісією.
Если это не музыкальный проект, музыкальная группа, а, допустим, это программа, посвященная музыкальным проектам, она должна сразу выступать в коллаборации с какими-то СМИ, допустим, в Украине, или в Украине и за рубежом будет лучше? Особенно если это программа, которая посвящена Украине.
Ви про туди зараз згадаєте, так? Дивіться, номінально ви підходите, тобто будь-яка юридична особа з України може податись на цю ідею. Обмеження по цьому конкурсу, що ви маєте організувати резиденцію для написання пісень, тестування нових бізнес-ідей у музичній сфері, знайомство українських молодих музикантів і, може, закордонних, з авторським правом, наприклад, з можливістю продажу музики в кіно, онлайн-ігри, рекламу. Тобто це така освітня можливість, і ми все ж таки рекомендуємо мати закордонних партнерів, тому що таким чином ви покажете, що ідея ваша конкурентно здатна на міжнародному рівні. І, можливо, нехай це будуть українські лектори і експерти, які будуть працювати саме запрошеними музикантами, але музикантів ви візьмете умовно 10 з України, умовно 10 з Данії, наприклад, якщо у вас є там партнери, і таким чином ви, по-перше, перезнайомите їх між собою, що вони зможуть потім працювати разом, і, можливо, там дует якийсь запишуть. І, по-друге, ви більш краще докажете, що це саме можливість для міжнародного рівня, тому що ці пілотні проекти, вони зараз мають досить мінімальні вимоги, тому що, як правило, Креативна Європа – це така довготривала глобальна програма, і завдяки ось цим пілотним проектам, які будуть оголошені цього року, будуть зроблені висновки, які ідеї актуальні, наскільки сильний сектор і яка можливість для них потрібна. І, відповідно, на наступну програму, наступні 7 років Креативної Європи будуть вже прописані великі масштабні конкурси. Останнє питання, дякую.
Хочу уточнити, тобто це тільки для юридичних осіб можливість?
На жаль, чи на щастя, Креативна Європа, в принципі, відкрита лише для юридичних осіб, тому що, скажімо так, бюджети тут досить великі, і треба показати потужність вас як організації, що ви можете організувати саме такого виду проєкт. Для вас, як музиканта, тоді я порекомендую просто підписатися на розсилочку Українського бюро Креативної Європи, тому що ми, в принципі, дивимося на ті всі успішні проекти з України, що вони пропонують. Можливо, в них буде опенкол, або, можливо, буде опенкол у інших європейських організацій, які виграють у цей конкурс, і вони будуть робити опенкол для тих музикантів, яких хочуть запросити. Тобто для вас можливість також є, але фізична особа або музикант саме для Креативної Європи не може бути заявником, тільки юридична особа, тобто це український лейбл, паблішинг-компанія, освітня ініціатива, будь-яка юридична форма, в тому числі ФОП. Відповідно, просто ви маєте розуміти, що ви маєте подати непогане таке портфоліо вашої роботи, щоб перевіряючий експерт в Європейській комісії зрозумів, що ви дійсно зможете реалізувати цей проект ефективно, що ви будете мати вплив на локальному і міжнародному рівні, і відповідно, що ви відзвітуєтеся за ті гроші, які отримаєте, тому що 85% від бюджету проекту це досить багато. Якщо ще будуть питання, будь ласка, залишайтеся і задавайте їх. 24 лютого приходьте на інформаційний день Креативної Європи саме по цьому конкурсу. І я передаю слово моїй колезі з Українського культурного фонду, яка також скаже про можливості для музичного сектору також, і ми маємо переключити.
Доброго вечора, мене звати Наталя Бриль, я проектна менеджерка Українського культурного фонду. Український культурний фонд – це державна інституція, зараз я візьму клікер. Це державна інституція, яка була заснована в 2017 році. Фактично на даний момент нам вже пройшло 2 грантові сезони. За цей час ми надали гранти близько 726 проєктам, це за 2 роки, 2018-2019. Ми надаємо фінансування в рамках одного бюджетного року, тобто зазвичай договір підписується весною і завершується 31 жовтня в кінці року звітуванням команди за той проєкт, який вони зробили. Як я вже сказала, що це є державна підтримка, тобто фактично всі проекти фінансуються за кошти платників податків України. Оскільки культура, духовність, знання історії є такими знаковими фундаментами для побудови суспільства, здорового суспільства, тож місією Українського культурного фонду є створення розвиненої екосистеми проєктів у сфері культури та креативних індустрій для посилення та впровадження нових сенсів та змістів в самому суспільстві. Це є збереження культурної спадщини та формування культурних проєктів, які будуть відображатися з світовими трендами по всьому світу. Якщо ми говоримо про фінансування і про попит взагалі культурного сектору на проекти, в 2018 році були подані заявки, якщо сплюсувати всю суму попиту, це складало 334 мільйони гривень. Наступного року цей попит збільшився в 10 разів, тобто проєктів було подано на 3 мільярди. Зеленим кольором ви можете побачити, це ті проєкти, які пройшли конкурсний відбір і отримали фінансування на суму 157 641 мільйон гривень. Тобто можна сказати, що не всі організації готові до проходження конкурсного відбору, тому що це все ж таки конкурс, і там потрібно вміти писати заявку, писати кошторис, писати бюджет. І ми так само, як і Креативна Європа, проводимо тренінги для того, щоб більше проєктів були успішними. Як я вже говорила, за 2 роки ми профінансували майже 730 проєктів, 433 проєкти було профінансовано в 2019 році. Це статистика по всій Україні. Якщо ви бачите, то Київська область – це найбільша область, де подано було найбільше проєктів, тобто це майже половину. Друге місце посідає Львів, третє Харків, регіони відстають, і тому те, на що ми концентрувалися минулого року, коли проводили інфодні по всій Україні, ми їздили у всі регіони для того, щоб розповісти людям про можливості, які надає держава для підтримки їх культурних проєктів. Якщо виокремити з цієї цифри те, що було надіслано з музичного сектору, то в 2018 році ми підтримали 17 проєктів, в 2019 – 22 проєкти. Якщо ви подивитесь на цифри 433 і 22, то можна сказати, що аудіальний сектор він доволі слабко представлений в наших проєктах, і з цього ми можемо зробити висновок. Або ж музична сфера, вона є настільки самостійною, що не потребує державної підтримки, або ж сектор не здатний до конкурентних умов отримання коштів на свої проекти. Цього року ми відкрили набір на програми в листопаді місяці, 15 грудня ми його завершили. Але, можливо, слідкуйте за нашими новинами, можливо, цього року у нас будуть нові програми, на які ви можете подавати заявки. Тому сьогодні я коротко розповім про ті проекти, які були підтримані нами саме в музичній сфері за 2 роки. Тут будуть не всі проекти, але більшість. По-перше, ми підтримуємо усілякі концерти, постановки опер, мюзиклів. Зазвичай вхід на події, які спонсорує Український культурний фонд, він безкоштовний. Наприклад, це Дні сучасної музики у Вінниці. Це проект, який відбувався на протязі 4 днів на різних локаціях. Люди могли просто зайти на сайт, обрати ту подію, яка їм цікава, зареєструватися, отримати безкоштовні квитки та піти відвідати. Бандура і World Music – це концерт, і також був записаний диск на основі українських пісень з вкрапленням світової музики. Головним інструментом була бандура, і як заявляють учасники команди, і навіть глядачі, вони були здивовані новим звучанням бандури в сучасній аранжуванні сучасному. Опера Гац – це опера антиутопія, яка була поставлена формацією «Нова опера». Показ відбувся в Києві, Відні і Нью-Йорку. Ацис і Галатея – це перша професійна українська постановка опери Генделя, яка відбулася на великій сцені Національної музичної академії України. Також ця опера мала пряму трансляцію, її досі можна переглянути в інтернеті. Також ми підтримуємо різноманітні конкурси, як 3-й міжнародний конкурс Скрипалів, Чорноморські ігри тощо. Серед наших проєктів є інклюзивні проєкти, і це один з них, приклад «Казка на білих лапах». Це запис різдвяного альбому, в якому його записували пікардійська терція разом з дітками, які не можуть бачити, віком від 8 до 13 років. Вони зробили диск в розмірі 1000 примірників, який був розповсюджений по Україні. Тобто, якщо якийсь продукт виробляється в рамках проєкту, спонсованого Українським культурним фондом, будь то диски, будь то книги, вони всі безкоштовно розповсюджуються серед громадян України, бібліотеки, те, як вирішують члени команди. Частина проєктів, вони покликані на дослідницькі, вони мають дослідницький характер і покликані на переосмислення культурної спадщини або підвищення рівня уваги до культурної спадщини. Ukrainian Live Tour – це була повернення української академічної музики. Команда на протязі 2 років шукала в архівах дані, і серед 1000 композиторів вони обрали 10, які працювали на зламі епох, і на основі цього був створений тур по 13 містам України. Також це один із дослідницьких напрямів, видано твори Миколи Леонтовича, записана партитура для барокового оркестру. Частина проєктів у нас проходять на сході України. Наприклад, це Маріуполь Класик, це єдиний фестиваль професійного класичного мистецтва у Донецькій області. Східний Камертон – це був фестиваль хорової музики, який був покликаний об'єднати Захід і Схід України через обмін хоровими творами, які є в різних куточках України. Хорові колективи були з Луганщини, Галичини і Буковини. Як я вже говорила, це лише частина проєктів, які я тут показую. Оскільки наразі існує попит на якісну українську музику, у нас є проєкти, які робили ставку на популяризацію українських гуртів. Один з них – це «Голос нової хвилі». На протязі всього літа на 4 фестивалях по Україні – це Республіка, Бароко, Drive for Life, Імпульс Фест. Була представлена окрема сцена, на якій були представлені українські гурти, абсолютно різножанрові. Це теж на що виділялись кошти з фонду. Наступний ще один проєкт «Тут і зараз». Це мультимедійний проєкт про українську музику, де в прямому ефірі на протязі 2 годин в лайв-форматі було як спілкування з музикантами, так і популяризація їх музики. Всі ці ефіри є на Фейсбук-сторінці, є на Ютуб-сторінці. Якщо вам цікаво, ви можете зайти і послухати, тому що вони далі продовжують записувати. Ми також фінансуємо різноманітні школи, наприклад, Art Jazz School – це школа, яка відбулася у місті Рівному, Луцьку і Львові. Школа була для студентів, які навчаються на музичному факультеті. Навчання було основане на вижимці з європейських традицій музичних шкіл, для того, щоб музиканти могли себе більш вільно почувати, вміти імпровізувати джаз тощо. Український культурний фонд також фінансує участь команд, музикантів, проєктів на міжнародних конференціях або на локальних, для того, щоб обговорити, що наразі існує в секторі, що можна покращити, підвищити кооперацію та нетворкінг. Це відбувалось в Одесі, опера на виклики 2.0. Ми спонсорували участь української делегації у Будапешт Showcase Hub, у Building Bridges. І «Музичні мости» – це проект, коли приїжджав зірка перкусії Зіцен, Крістіан Зіцен з Австрії разом з українським гуртом New Era Orchestra, вони разом проводили концерт. Ще один приклад – 2 дні і 2 ночі нової музики. Це артовий фестиваль, який відбувається, здається, на щорічній основі. Перший день – це така музична прелюдія, тобто перший день повністю присвячений музиці, потім відбувається сам фестиваль. І останній день – це музична послюдія, коли після артового фестивалю відбувається знову день, присвячений повністю музиці. Окрім того, ми фінансували, я думаю, десь до 100 фестивалів загалом за 2 роки. Найбільшими фестивалями це є найдавніший український фестиваль Тарас Бульба, та цього року це було 10-річчя Захід Фесту, який теж відбувся за підтримки Українського культурного фонду. Щодо програм, які запущені на 2020 рік. Цього року ми запустили 20 програм. Наразі всі заявки, які були подані, проходять технічний відбір. Можливо, хтось з вас подавав заявку. Чудово. От ви знаєте, що наразі ми відбираємо за технічними характеристиками. Ще я хочу сказати, що цього року музика представлена більше у всіх програмах. Вона представлена в програмі «Інноваційний культурний продукт». Ми зробили окремий лот музика для підтримки молодих виконавців, їх промо-турів, створення альбомів тощо. Знакові події – це величезна програма, яка підтримує масштабні фестивалі. В них є знакові фестивалі, які ми фінансуємо в розмірі від 3 до 6 мільйонів. Залучення в цих фестивалів має бути більше 5 тисяч людей, і залучення має бути більше, ніж 2 регіони. Всі ті фестивалі, якщо вони розуміли, що вони не дотягують там до 5 тисяч відвідувачів, у нас є окремий лот в інноваційному культурному продукті, який називається «Локальні фестивалі». Цього року туди подалось 153 проекти. Фінансування там було до 2 мільйонів, і вони менш масштабні, ніж знакові події. Також в рамках проєкту «Знакові події» ми фінансуємо музикантів, які можуть приймати участь у міжнародних фестивалях поза межею України. Музика може бути представлена просто у всіх програмах, це може бути інклюзія, навчання, обміни резиденції, мережі аудиторії, тобто це залежить від вашого проєкту і від того, що ви хочете втілити в кінці. Значить, цього року, можливо, у нас буде ще відкриття нових програм. Якщо ви не встигли на подачу цих, то слідкуйте за новинами і подавайтесь на наступні. Якщо ж ні, то наступного року, десь восени, у нас буде відкритий новий набір на, я думаю, такі ж самі програми, і вони залишаться. Тому ми будемо раді, якщо ви будете подаватись, тому що всі зацікавлені в тому, щоб сектор був посилений, щоб сектор розвивався, щоб була якісна конференція і щоб гранти надавалися якісним продуктам. Дякую за увагу. А вже виключила Альона, так? Так. Потім відійдете. Я. Містер, House of Europe.
last one for today, and it seems I'm talking about the youngest of the programs of this panel. We are the Benjamin. We just started being active last autumn, and that's also why I can not even give you such a broad overview on case studies or projects that we have already funded, as we saw in the previous presentation. There we go, that's House of Europe. May I ask you how many of you know House of Europe already? Seems pretty fair split between people who know and who don't know, so it does make sense that I'm here. So I'll tell you a little bit about what House of Europe is all about, and then I will feature a few of our programs that make them more relevant for the musical sector in greater detail. So we're not only the youngest program, we seem also to be the smallest in terms of budget, 12.2 million euros that we are supposed to spend over the next 4 years. At the same time, we are, well, it's not being bigger or smaller, we are broader in scope than our brother from the bigger brother, Creative Europe, that stems from the same family. The EU delegation to Ukraine is giving the money to us, but actually the money comes from the European Commission. So that's why, in a way, from the same branch. But we are having a broader scope. We're not only working with culture, more on that soon. So the money comes from the EU delegation to Ukraine, and the implementers are a consortium of 4 international cultural organizations. The Goethe Institute has the implementation of House of Europe and works in a consortium together with British Council, Institut Français, and Czech Center. We started last year, launched the program in October 2019, then shall be active for another 3 years or so. So I said that we're working in more than just the cultural sector. Here is actually a look of what we do disaggregated by the sectors in which we are active. So culture and creative industries certainly is the biggest sector with many opportunities assembled there. But we're also working with education, with social entrepreneurship, with health, with media, and with youth, that is activities for young people, but also activities for professionals that work with young people. But both by scope and both by a variety of programs, the cultural and creative industry sector is clearly our main focus as well, which is why we're here. That is another look at what House of Europe is doing. Those are the same activities, but now ordered according to the form of support of Europe. And there are 4 main categories. Grants. So you have an idea, the idea is found convincing by the jury, and we give the money for you to implement your idea. That can be different types of ideas that you have. You can have the idea to travel, then it's a mobility grant. You can have the idea to implement a project, then it's a project grant, it can be a translation project, etc. I'll feature some of the opportunities later on. As opposed to study tours, here we have an idea. We feel there is a need that we can cater by enabling, by building a program that people can take part into, that leads them to a country where they meet, for example, partners, and then when returning back have maybe improved understanding or improved international network. But the conceptualization of those study tours is in our hands. Then we have a set of other types of programs. That's quite a broad range, also focusing on creative industries. Here are our programs for younger people, like for example youth camps, having an intra-Ukrainian university exchange, etc. And then finally, residencies is another format that we're also working on. In principle, House of Europe consists of 3 components, and the first one, mobility as a professional exchange, in a way is a one-way road. So this is really people moving from Ukraine to the EU. So here is where mobility grants are, here is also where the study tours are. We don't have study tours for EU people to come to Ukraine, it's really a one-way road. As opposed to the second big component, dialogue and cooperation, this is about Ukrainians and EU citizens or organizations doing things together, such as international cooperation projects or translations that work in both directions, and university exchange with Europe is also facilitated by EU experts. So this is bi-directional. And then finally, there is a third component, information and coordination. I will say a little more about that. So this is more than just a PR department for our own activities. This is actually informing and training on a lot of other opportunities that are available for Ukrainians. A few words on the timeline. So we started with a half-year preparation phase in April 2019, then launched the program on 16th of October last year. And in December, the first mobilities were the first grants that we gave out. The first people started to travel using House of Europe mobilities. We are now finishing the first cycle of implementation. We'll have a second wave of calls in spring, starting from March, and then a third wave in early autumn. And then the program is supposed to be active for 3 years. So this is, if you want, so the rhythm in which we're working. We're having those half-year cycles. Most of our calls are biannual, take place twice a year. There are some that are only once a year, but that's really the minority. And then the implementation of whatever you're doing, mobility, study tour, translation, cooperation project, can have a different duration. So in the case of mobilities, study tours, residencies, it really follows this half-year cycle. So you apply, you win mobility, and then you have half a year in which you can implement your mobility, in which you can travel. If it's for an international cooperation project, they can last up to 1 year. So then projects are still being implemented while we are already launching a new call where new organizations can apply for new project ideas. Translation projects can even last 1.5 years. And then accompanying all that, that's the triangle at the top, is our information and coordination work, which is actually accompanying all our 6 cycles that we foresee for the next 3 years. Concretely, we are soon launching a second wave of our calls. So what do we have in this second wave? We are premiering the international residencies program. So potential residents from Ukraine can apply. That launches on 12th of March and have a deadline in early April. They're launching a second call for international cooperation projects, also 12th of March. Having a second edition of international mobility grants in the sector of culture starts a little later. Having study tours in the field of culture, and we're having a bootcamp for creative entrepreneurs. That's a feature for creative industries in the regions. A few more words on that later. So, international mobility grants. I've mentioned a couple of times. So here are more detailed information what it's all about. So the idea here is that you can travel as a professional. You can travel to a EU country of your choice to do whatever you consider beneficial for your professional forthcoming. It could be that you want to present your artistic work. It could be that you want to attend a networking event, a professional conference. It could be that you want to do an internship or job shadowing. Could be an academic conference. Could be like a short-term working attachment. Or it could be a preparatory meeting where you're searching for partners, for example, to later on build up a cooperation project with that. That's on you. You organize it. You can travel for a duration of from 5 up to 28 days. And depending on the duration, you can get smaller or larger travel grants, 2,000 from up to 2,000 to up to 4,000 euros. We are, as I said, we're not only working in the cultural sector, so we are offering those mobilities also for people in education, health, media, youth work, social entrepreneurs, but then clearly culture and creative entrepreneurs will, can go and have the largest share of those mobilities in the program. You should think of how you can use whatever you learn or pick up during your mobility in your working environment. So we ask for that in the application to develop a plan. For example, if you make a job shadowing at a cultural organization in the EU, how do you plan to take your lesson home and to make use of the connections that you've built or the new methodologies that you've got to know? International cooperation grants. So this is bi-directional, so it's all about enabling dialogue, and that should in a way reflect also in the concept of the proposed project. The projects can last from 3 months to 1 year, and you have 2 categories from which you can choose: smaller projects up to 25,000 euros, larger projects up to 50,000 euros. The conditions, apart from that, are quite the same. You have to be a registered NGO or state-funded organization. You have to have previous experience, and you have to find a partner organization in the EU. You can also include third or more organizations in your application, and for the third or fourth or fifth organization, they can even be from other Eastern Partnership countries. But definitely a Ukrainian and a EU organization needs to be involved. Study tours. So while we are speaking, our first study tour from the previous cycle of open calls is launching. That is a study tour for museum managers to Germany. So a group of 10 people has today traveled to Germany to then meet with other museums in Germany to develop network exchange of methodologies and thus contribute to better and increased capacities. We are doing that on a regular biannual level. We're having 3 such study tours per cycle. We'll also have a first study tour for music managers later on, directed to the Italian Music Week. But there's more to come over the next cycles as well. Travel costs and per diems, meals are covered by us, so it's basically for free to participate. And yeah, for the sector of culture, this is again for professionals, operators, managers, active performing artists, etc. For the entire range. But a certain professional experience. We in general working with professionals, not so much with grassroots activists or students, nor with, for example, representatives of ministries, but really in between, like sandwiched in between, working with individual professionals. And again, it's good to show us how you plan to use your gained knowledge when you're back home. International residencies, that will be a new feature for the next round of calls. So this works in both directions. 10 residents per year that can go from Ukraine to established EU residencies, and also the other way around. And for now, this is really for our managers, curators. So we're putting the focus not on artists. And then finally, the information and coordination work that we're doing. So what is this meant to be? We feel that the knowledge about the opportunities available for Ukrainians is to be improved, to say the least. We're here in Kyiv. I'm talking to people who are relatively well informed and well connected to international opportunities, but the more that we go to the regions, we also saw that in the kind of split off of the applications received by the UKF, for example, the less there is knowledge of opportunities and the less there is also confidence in applying for them. So this we want to tackle with the Information and Coordination Hub. We're having an online hub, that's our website, houseofeurope.org.ua, which informs not only on our opportunities that I just presented, but also on others that are presented by other EU programs, by other EU member state programs. We will have a physical hub in Kyiv, hopefully as beautiful as this one, where people can come and ask us questions, get training on how to write a better application, how to improve their CV, etc. And then we're also setting out to the regions with special programs that are dedicated to the regional needs. And that's where the pop-up hub, the boot camp, will come in. That is actually a thing that takes place only in the regions, this year in Dnipro, and we will have a mobile pavilion that travels to even smaller places, not just regional centers. Thank you very much for your attention.
Do we have a question from the audience?
Thank you so much for your presentation. I just have a question. May you please I don't know, describe the example of cooperation with some of musicians? Like as an example, we had that project, the artist went in that country and he did that, things like that. Just an example.
I can't, because we have just started last year, and we've actually had our first round of calls for international cooperation projects. It's a 2-round selection, so the second round of selection, in the first round you just present a concept note, it's then judged by a jury. And then if you get to the second stage, you'll have to provide more information like budget, etc., etc. And then again, this will be assessed by a jury of independent experts. And that is just how far we got. So this second stage selection has just been finished. We will soon announce the grantees of the first round, and that's why we don't have any implemented international cooperation projects funded under Osvitoriya. But to give you a theoretical example, of course, it could be any form of cooperation project in the music field. It could be, like, to daydream, it could be any cooperation of NGOs active in the field, for example, implementing a concert today with concerts taking place in Ukraine, possibly also in the EU with artists from EU countries and from Ukraine, or also conferences, dialogue, forums. It doesn't need to be like an artistic project in the closer sense. Could be a conference. Could be anything that contributes in a way to intercultural dialogue and cooperation. But this cooperation idea is quite important for us. So it probably shouldn't just be like juxtaposing Ukrainian and EU things without any more profound connection.
So if I am, as a musician, go to your grant, can I go to take part on a festival or maybe showcase, and you will cover those expenses?
Yes, you can. That would be a case for the individual mobilities. So you would have to prepare an application. So you would want to showcase your work at a festival. So probably you would explain us that this is what kind of festival this is, that it is relevant, that it is also beneficial for your professional development, etc. That you maybe want to also broaden your network. You want to connect with fellow musicians at this festival.
So, and you will cover travel expenses.
And then, you would need to draft a budget showing us how much it would cost. And then, if successful, if you are successful in the selection, then the costs for your journey would be covered, plus accommodation, plus per diem, so your living costs. So basically, it also includes some production costs or other things that you need to take part in this opportunity to your budget.
And I think the last question, if we have one. Okay, if not, I would like to say a great thank you for this great presentation. If you have any other questions, you can ask ask us after the panel. Thank you very much for being here with us. It was quite an interesting, but hopefully really interesting for you. Переходжу українською, і я, напевно, закінчу сьогоднішній день. Дякуємо всім, хто завітав на форум музичної індустрії Selector Pro. Я сподіваюся, вам було корисно і цікаво. Обмінюйтесь контактами, приходьте ще на такі освітні заклади. Британська рада, Music Expert Ukraine та Польський інститут були організаторами. До нових зустрічей!